Chapter 2351. As he looked at the Golden Crow Empire's capital, Shao Qin showed an unsightly expression. After noticing the strange situation in the capital, Shao Qin guessed that the Bushin Palace was targeting Little Yellow Feather. Who would have thought that the worst outcome would really be predicted by him? Although a pure-blooded holy beast was still young, it would be a great weapon at this crucial juncture when the epic changed. If Shao Qin ignored Little Yellow Feather and used a secret technique to catalyze it, overdrawing on its life force in exchange for the strength of an adult golden crow, it would be simply unimaginable. That was simply unimaginable. In a battle against the other sons of epics, they would occupy an enormous advantage. The Golden Crow Empire would definitely have a faux god guarding the capital. Its luck would be second to none among the 8 great empires. However, the Golden Crow Empire would not be able to resist when the other 7 great empires worked together. The faux gods had already worked together to seal the entire capital with a barrier. As a result, Shao Qin had no idea what was happening inside. Breaking the barrier would not be too difficult for a 10-vein sovereign emperor like Shao Qin. The difficult part was that it was impossible to break the barrier without alerting a faux god expert. Shao Qin did not know how strong a faux god was. Shao Qin could not be sure if he could fight a faux god with his current strength. After thinking for a while, Shao Qin gave a simple report of the Golden Crow Empire's situation to Mu Zifeng. Don't act rashly for now. I'll get Swearin Ji and the other doyens to help you. With your current strength, it is still not time for you to face a faux god. How long do I need? Half a day is enough. After putting away the Heavenly Alliance medallion, Shao Qin sat cross-legged on the summit and thought to himself, half a day? Can Ao Jiao really wait half a day? What if the Solar Divine Temple falls in half a day and the Bushin Palaces, people want to snatch Little Yellow Feather away? Given Ao Jiao's character, she would definitely fight with her life on the line. No, I can't afford to gamble. Compared to Ao Jiao's safety, Shao Qin would rather face a faux god himself. He could not let the past repeat itself. Ao Jiao had already died once in the Sky Dome realm when she was helping him with his heart tribulation. Faux god, let me experience the strength of a faux god. Shao Qin shouted and grasped his saber hilt. Then he swung his hand, and the tyrant's saber came out of its scabbard again. The flawless saber Dao, which surpassed the epic, materialized thousands of saber lights when driven by the cycle Great Dao. Then a boundlessly resplendent saber light rose behind Shao Qin. The dazzling saber light spread out in circles and overlapped with each other. It was as if another sun had risen behind him. In the vast Golden Crow Empire, the hundreds of millions of commoners and cultivators scattered across the empire's territory all witnessed this shocking scene. Suddenly, a blazing sun appeared in the sky. The 2 suns competed with each other's brilliance, and for a moment it was impossible to tell which was the real one. However, this phenomenon only lasted for an instant. Just when everyone thought that they were seeing things, a voice suddenly rang out. In a flash, he entered the capital. The 4 corners of the capital, which seemed to be normal from the start, suddenly changed. Then a barrier of light suddenly appeared and pressed down, sealing off the entire capital. This made the vast and majestic capital look like a bird cage, firmly locked in. Boom! The blazing sun in the sky smashed into the capital with the momentum of a thunderbolt. In the next moment, the ground trembled. Terrifying shock waves erupted above the capital. The shock waves spread for millions of kilometers. The instant the shock waves shattered the tall mountains under Shao Qin's feet, Shao Qin leaped into the air and landed on the majestic city walls of the capital. Shao Qin broke the barrier reinforced by a faux god with one saber strike. He used an absolutely tyrannical and ferocious saber strike to forcefully break it, not using any tricks at all. Strong winds buffeted Shao Qin's clothes as he stood on the city wall in his white robes. Shao Qin looked down at the entire capital. The originally prosperous and flourishing capital had already turned into rubble. Thousands of kilometers of rubble could not be seen. A capital that had existed for a long time was destroyed, just like that. It did not get destroyed by Xiao Chen's earlier saber strike. Instead, it got destroyed in the battle before Xiao Chen arrived. Clang! 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 The sounds of fighting rang out endlessly. The intense battle came from the distance. Xiao Chen turned his head to look. His vision peered through the dust and saw two faux god experts fighting on a tall mountain in the city. Below, many sovereign emperors fought each other in an extremely intense battle in a completely intact, empty land. It was the Solar Divine Temple. The faux god experts fought above the Solar Divine Temple. The Bushan Palace's sovereign emperors were below. They had already broken the Solar Divine Temple's formations and charged into the temple to fight the final battle. Xiao Qin could sense countless gazes in the Golden Crow Empire's capital, both in the open and in the dark. Countless gazes looked at Xiao Qin, either filled with doubt or confusion. This humble one is Baiju. Might I ask which faction's faux god you are from? Why are you interfering in the private matters of my Bushan Palace? Just as Xiao Chen sized up the surroundings and prepared to head to the Solar Divine Temple, an old man landed on the city wall in the distance. This old man wore gray robes and had a pale complexion. There was a blood mark on his forehead. This was a faux god expert with the great desolate Ian white marsh beast's bloodline. Bai Ju looked at Xiao Chen, feeling puzzled. He wondered which faction this faux god was. To think that he was so young. However, Baiju only sized up Baiju for a while before feeling even more puzzled. Why does he not look like a faux god? There is no divine nature at all. Then, what about the earlier saber strike? Xiao Qin did not answer. He noticed that the other party held a crystalline pagoda radiating silver light in his left hand. As the other party spoke, he silently circulated his divine energy. The barrier that Xiao Qin broke earlier was slowly recovering. It looked like it was going to envelop the Golden Crow Empire's capital again. Xiao Qin felt excited. It looked like this old man was in a rush to seal off the capital again. Xiao Qin thought about the faux god experts fighting in the sky above the Solar Divine Temple. Xiao Qin immediately understood. The silver pagoda in the old man's hand had the effect of isolating the nation's protective formation. The protective formation could draw in the spiritual energy of the entire Golden Crow Empire's capital. If Xiao Chan was suppressed and could only draw in the capital's spiritual energy, the formation would be useless. Xiao Qin looked around. Indeed, in the Solar Divine Temple, the many sovereign emperors that had already charged into the Solar Divine Temple were chased out. The Golden Crow Empire's sovereign emperors fought even more ferociously. Given this, as long as Xiao Qin delayed this faux god and prevented him from raising the barrier again, he would not have to worry. There was no need to worry about Ao Jiao and the others in the Solar Divine Temple. When the Heavenly Alliance experts arrived, the Golden Crow Empire would have survived this crisis. Trying to act mysterious, Bai Ju finally confirmed that Xiao Chen was not a faux god. Seeing that Xiao Chen still did not answer, he flew into a rage. Bai Ju waved his hand and threw a palm strike at Xiao Chen. Immediately, Xiao Chen felt that hand cover the sky, cutting off his connection with the world. The entire world turned pitch black. The world started rejecting him, and unprecedented loneliness surged over. Xiao Chen felt startled. What kind of move was this? He had never heard of it before. However, although Xiao Chen felt shocked, he did not panic. He was like a saber abandoned at the darkest edge of the world. However, this saber was unprecedented. Even if the world abandoned it, its light would not be shrouded by darkness. Even if the world abandoned it, its light would not be shrouded by darkness. Whoosh! Xiao Chen sent out a saber light. The instant the saber light flickered, the dark world regained its color. Then the Golden Crow Empire's capital reappeared bit by bit. Shao Qin had returned. Crack! Shao Qin chopped the gigantic palm, descending from the sky in half. However, the huge impact still knocked Shao Qin into the air, shaking his blood vessels and shattering his internal organs. The divine seal in Shao Chen's soul pool was like a candle flame in the wind, flickering like it would be extinguished at any moment. How terrifying! Even though Shao Chen blocked the killing move of a faux god, the shock waves were still fatal. When a faux god ignited their divine flame, a casual strike of theirs would be supported by the faux god flame. While severely injuring the physical body, it would also attack the divine seal. If Shao Chen was not careful, he would turn to ashes. Shao Chen circulated the cycle Great Tao, using the cycle of life and death to continuously negate the shock waves. By the time Shao Chen landed, the swaying divine seal in his soul pool had already stabilized and slowly burned. You truly live up to being a faux god expert. This Shao has experienced it firsthand. Shao Qin said sincerely as he looked at Baiju. A faux god expert was indeed incredible. If it were any other nine-veined sovereign emperor, Baiju's palm strike would have been sufficient to turn that nine-veined sovereign emperor into ashes. Even Shao Qin felt somewhat lucky. When isolated, Shao Chen did not panic or feel anxious. He did not hesitate to draw his saber. Otherwise, if he delayed for even a moment, the consequences would be dire. This Shao. A brilliant light flashed in Baiju's eyes. After some thought, he said, "You are the epic successor that the Heavenly Alliance nurtured, Shao Qin." "That is me. Ha 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 ha." Baiju could not hide the wild joy on his face as he guffawed. "I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance. You are really bold to dare to face a faux god expert alone. If I kill you, I can forget about my divine beast." Chapter 2352. Baiju, who unexpectedly discovered Shao Chen's identity, rejoiced. Unexpectedly, such a good thing delivered itself to him. Right now, Shao Chen was the Bushan Palace's greatest enemy. Between Baiju and the Dragon God crowned Prince Qinming, only one could truly become the Dragon Emperor. If Shao Chen killed Baiju, Qinming would inherit his luck. The Bushan Palace's chances of starting a new epoch would increase significantly. In the end, Baiju came to the Golden Crow Empire to hunt Little Yellow Feather to increase Qinming's luck and strength, increasing his chances of starting a new epoch. However, the effect was far from being as fast as killing Shao Chen. Die! Baiju attacked again, still using only one hand. He held the silver pagoda in his left hand, wanting to prop up the formation, sealing the capital again. The world sank into darkness again. When Shao Chen looked around, everything he saw and felt was pitch black. The city walls, the capital, the land, the mountains, the sky, the white clouds, everything that Shao Chen saw vanished. It was like he was isolated in another world, not tolerated by the world. There was no place for him in this vast world. The sense of isolation in Shao Chen's heart surged even more ferociously than the first time. Again, this time, Shao Chen did not feel surprised when Baiju used the same trick, forcing him into this strange space again. Shao Chen raised his hand and swung his tyrant saber again. All sorts of colors immediately appeared in this world. Shao Chen's sealed senses and vision recovered. The sense of isolation from the world no longer existed. Whoosh! When Shao Chen looked up, an ancient finger descended from the sky. The finger descended like it was trying to kill an ant. Shao Chen felt a vast and boundless pressure. After experiencing it once, Shao Chen was no longer as nervous as he was the first time, so he dodged in advance. Whoosh! Shao Chen's figure turned into a lightning bolt, and a resplendent saber light descended. "My divine pressure, how can you dodge it?" Baiju felt shocked. To think that Shao Chen dodged this attack. This was simply unimaginable. No sovereign emperor had ever been able to dodge a foe god's attack. After lighting up the foe god flame, one would be able to understand the nature of the world. Within a certain range, one would be like the creator of the world. It could perfectly merge with the world and release divine pressure, sealing off a sovereign emperor's senses and making the world reject the other party. If one were to advance further and become a true god, this space would be comparable to the divine kingdom. However, there were no true gods now. There were only faux gods, and they could no longer materialize the divine kingdom. Even so, the divine pressure of a faux god expert was unfathomable to a sovereign emperor. With the six senses sealed, there was no way to avoid a faux god's killing move when one's soul energy, vision, hearing, smell, and touch were all rendered useless. But now, this iron rule had been broken twice by Shaoqin. You overestimate yourself. After the shock, Bai Ju calmed down. After all, Bai Ju was a void god realm expert. With a raise of his hand, he neutralized Xiao Chen's saber strike, which could kill a 9-veined sovereign emperor. Then he used 2 fingers to clamp down on the saber. Xiao Qin, who was in the air, immediately felt his saber completely restrained, unable to advance or retreat. Bai Ju smiled coldly and said, "You really startle me. To think that you can dodge my killing move from my divine pressure. Unfortunately, you do not know how horrifying a faux god is." Dang! A flame appeared in Bai Ju's eyes, and a vast divine might erupted from his body as he flicked his finger. The tyrant's saber immediately trembled endlessly. The force traveled along the saber, sending Xiao Qin flying back like a cannonball. Clang! Xiao Qin, who knelt on one knee, stabbed the tyrant's saber into the ground and stabilized his body. Blood leaked out of a corner of Xiao Chen's mouth, but his eyes remained calm, not showing any fluctuations. Bai Ju felt startled. His earlier attack looked casual. In reality, he had already used 50% of his strength. However, the other party was not severely injured. Bai Ju's expression was as calm as still water, and his eyes were deep like the starry sea. It was like he was evaluating his own strength. Could he be testing out how strong a faux god is? Damn it! Shouldn't he be scared out of his wits when he sees a faux god? Bai Ju seemed to feel that his pride as a faux god was being mocked. Rage surged in his heart, and he attacked again. This time, Bai Ju pressed forward, and a vast and boundless divine might press down like an avalanche. Then he threw a palm strike at lightning speed, a palm strike that could shatter stars. Before Bai Ju arrived, a sonic boom already rang out in the air. The sound was ear-splitting like thunder, scattering the clouds for 5,000 kilometers around and revealing the boundless starry heavens dotted with stars. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, not clashing head-on with Bai Ju, dodging for now. Xiao Chen's primary goal was to delay the other party and reseal the capital. His secondary goal was to verify how strong a faux god was, to see if he could defeat a faux god. The two immediately fought on the ancient city walls of the capital that had stood for tens of thousands of years. The intensity of the battle was no weaker than the fight between the 2 faux gods above the solar divine temple. "Your Highness, the divine daughter, it is Xiao Qin." Hao Kai, who was responsible for protecting Ao Jiao in the distant solar divine temple, finally recognized Xiao Qin. Earlier, Hao Kai saw someone break the seal with one saber strike. Hao Kai also thought that it was a faux god senior helping. After observing for a long time, he was shocked to discover that it was not a faux god. It was not a faux god. It was Xiao Qin. What is he doing here? That idiot. Why is he fighting a faux god? Compared to Hao Kai's excited expression, Ao Jiao showed a worried expression, continuously grumbling. In her anxiety, she did not even realize that she had called Xiao Qin an idiot again. Hao Kai asked, "Divine daughter, should we go and help?" Right now, the nation's protective formation is fully operational. That group of people from Bushin Palace can no longer charge in. No, Ao Jiao rejected with a calm expression. "Don't give him trouble. He took the risk to fight a faux god so that the nation's protective formation could operate perfectly. If we go and help, wouldn't we be wasting his efforts? Furthermore, if they got captured, it would be equivalent to harming Xiaoqin. Hao Kai asked, "What should we do then?" "Ao," Jiao sighed softly. "He probably does not know that we still have a backup plan and can leave. This idiot, he always likes to do things his own way. However, since he made a move, he definitely has a way to protect himself." For hours passed quickly after the intense battle on the city walls. Bai Ju launched a frenzied attack against Xiaoqin. Aside from the silver pagoda in his left hand, he used nearly everything else he had. However, despite the other terrifying attacks, Xiaoqin did not suffer any severe injuries, aside from being in a sorry state. He was like a lone boat drifting in the wind and rain. The strong wind and heavy rain battered him, but he did not capsize. "It looks like faux gods are only SO," Xiaoqin said coldly as he held up his saber and looked at the furious Bai Ju, who could not do anything about it. When Bai Ju heard that, he smiled instead of getting angry. "Is that so? In front of me, you don't even have the ability to retaliate. You can only retaliate a few times. Occasionally, you can't even injure a strand of my hair. Yet you dare to mock faux gods as SOO? Indeed, even a fatal attack against a 9-veined sovereign emperor would not be able to injure you. Without igniting the divine flame, no matter how strong my killing moves are, they would not be able to injure you. However, I do not only have these ordinary killing moves." "Is that so? In that case, why don't you make a move and show me?" Bai Ju narrowed his eyes slightly, smiling coldly in his heart. He liked the arrogant Xiaoqin. Only Bai Ju knew how strong a faux god was. The more Xiaoqin underestimated him, the happier Bai Ju was. The more arrogant Xiaoqin was, the easier it was for him to reveal openings. Bai Ju's repeated attacks failed to severely injure Xiaoqin, which made him look forward to Xiaoqin revealing openings in his arrogance. "As you wish." The immortal vein formed by Immortal Burial Lake among Xiaoqin's 10 divine veins stirred. An ethereal, fairy-like air appeared on Xiaoqin's body. The vast soul energy sea in Xiaoqin's soul pool surged with strong waves. The divine lightning talisman, formed by the immortal epic's 10,000 tribulation, divine lightning broke out of the sea. Once upon a time, the divine lightning talisman could injure a great perfection sovereign emperor with just the tip of the iceberg. Now, Xiaoqin looked forward to seeing what kind of strength this divine lightning talisman could erupt with when it was completely brought out. This is the expression of Bai Ju, who was waiting for Xiaoqin to reveal an opening, changed slightly. He sensed something strange. By the time Bai Ju sensed something wrong and wanted to dodge, it was already too late. The divine lightning talisman came out of Xiaoqin's forehead. With a flash of light, it struck Bai Ju. The instant the flower blooms, it illuminates 3 lives. Before the divine lightning talisman could take effect, Xiaoqin drew Heavenly Slayer and used the cycle great Tao to execute the 3 life flower. The past, the future, and the present. 3 blue lotus flowers, 3 figures, and 3 saber lights pierced through Bai Ju, who was severely injured by the divine lightning talisman. However, this was not enough. Xiaoqin gritted his teeth and roared. "Flowers bloom and flowers die. The cycle never ends." Previously, when Xiaoqin only grasped the state of cycle, he could execute 3 saber strikes with the 3 life flower. However, now he grasped the cycle great Tao. There were more than 3 saber strikes for the past, the future, and the present. Flowers bloomed and withered, and killing intent filled the air, filling the entire world with a somber and cold killing intent. 1,000 lotus flowers bloomed around Bai Ju at the same time. 1,000 heavenly slayer sabers containing the heavenly Tao's killing intent pierced through his body at the same time. Today, Xiaoqin wanted to kill a god. Chapter 2353. Flowers bloom and die. Reincarnation never ends. Xiao Chun first used the Thunder Divine Talisman to severely injure him. Then he used the Cycle Great Dao to activate the 3 Life Flower and sent out 3 saber strikes. 1 saber strike each pierced through Baiju. However, this was still not enough. If he wanted to slay a deity, he had to go all out without holding anything back. In the time it took for a spark to fly, he pushed the Cycle Great Dao and his saber Dao to their limits. Xiao Chen's divine energy and soul energy were instantly drained. After he finished executing the move, he was already exhausted. If he failed to kill Baiju, as long as Baiju was still breathing, he could easily crush him to death. Thousands of lotuses gradually overlapped with each other. Wisps of space-time ripples appeared around Baiju's body like water ripples. Xiao! When the 2 figures completely overlapped, Baiju coughed out a mouthful of blood. He looked at the wound on his chest in disbelief. In his world, only a second had passed. He only felt that Xiao Qin had swung his saber. He simply could not understand how his physical body could be struck by more than 1,000 sabers in an instant. The scariest thing was that every saber strike was lethal. Every saber strike contained a flawless saber intent that surpassed the epic and the inextinguishable power of the cycle of seasons, continuously attacking Xiao Chen's faux god flame. If he had not been careless and allowed the Thunderbolt Divine Talisman to be heavily injured, he would still have had strength to spare even if he had been pierced by 1,000 blades. However, at this moment, the resplendent golden faux god flame in Xiao Chen's soul pool was riddled with holes. Wave after wave of saber intent, infused with the power of cycles, surged at the dimmed faux god flame. No matter how he struggled, he could not salvage the situation. He could only watch as his faux god flame slowly weakened and slowly extinguished. "I will kill you!" Baiju's eyes were filled with despair. He roared and ran toward the exhausted Xiao Qin. At this moment, he only had one thought, and that was to drag Xiao Qin down with him before he died. It was like the final radiance of a setting sun, and its divine might was vast and mighty as if it had returned to its peak. Xiao Chen's expression was relaxed as he looked at the other party indifferently. Boom! Baiju barely managed to take a step before his body exploded with a loud bang. A brilliant flame soared into the sky. The light from the flames shone in all directions, emitting a light even more dazzling than the sun. However, although this light was resplendent, it gave off the feeling of a hero past his prime and a beauty with white hair. A sorrow that even the heavens could not suppress filled the world and permeated everyone's hearts. This made the 2 sides fighting in Sun God Temple in the sky above and on the ground below all stare blankly, stopping their movements. "This is a faux god has fallen!" Hua! Right after the 2 faux god realm experts spoke, the resplendent flame appeared. It turned into a blood-red color and exploded with a loud bang. Along with the dusky sky, a blood moon descended. How is this possible? The martial god palace's faux god expert showed a numb and sluggish expression. Although in this era, it was impossible to become a true god. However, as long as one ignited the divine flame and became a faux god expert, they would not suffer from disease or calamity. It was impossible for a faux god to die. Even if they encountered great trouble, faux gods would be able to protect themselves. But today, a virtual god had actually been killed. The Sun God Temple faux god realm expert looked at Xiao Qin, who was on the city wall. Shock filled his eyes. Clearly, he was startled as well. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the city wall, Xiao Qin had just collected Baiju's silver pagoda when 2 figures descended before him. The newcomers were the 2 faux god realm experts of the Heavenly Alliance, Swearin Ji and the previous alliance chief, Hua Tianyang. "You killed this person?" Although Swearin Ji did his best to suppress the fluctuations in his heart, he could not hide the shock on his face. Xiao Qin nodded. "It was a fluke. If not for his carelessness, I would not have killed him." He was speaking the truth. If the other party had not received the divine lightning talisman head-on, he would have died. If the other party had not taken the divine lightning talisman head-on, even if Xiao Chen executed blooming flower destruction and endless cycle, he would not have been confident of killing the other party. Or rather, if the divine lightning talisman had not severely injured the other party, Xiao Chen would not have risked everything and forced himself into a desperate situation. In any case, an opportunity presented itself to Xiao Chen. Then he took the risk and succeeded in killing a true god. Hua Tianyang sighed softly. As he looked at the blood rain falling from the sky, he said in frustration, "Even a faux god fell. This era is really coming to an end." Swearin Ji and Hua Tianyang exchanged glances. Although they were not the ones who died, the two felt desolate and sorrowful. The era that belonged to them would eventually come to an end when the martial epic's luck ran out. Even as faux gods, they would not be able to avoid death. God conferring pagoda. Hua Tianyang did his best to perk up. When he saw the silver pagoda in Xiao Chen's hand, he revealed a shocked expression. Xiao Chen stepped forward and handed the silver pagoda to the other party for him to observe. It really is the god conferring pagoda. After fiddling with it for a while, Hua Tianyang smiled and said, "This is a rare sealing-type soul treasure. It can be considered one of Bushin Palace's trump cards. There were offensive soul treasures, like the Heavenly Slayer saber in Xiao Chen's hand. There were also defensive soul treasures, like the alloy dragon armor Hua Tianyang wore. There were also offensive and defensive soul treasures, like Xi's blood dragon cloak. However, sealing-type soul treasures were very rare, extremely rare." Swearin Ji glanced at the Bushin Palace faux god who had already fled. After some thought, he said, "With this god conferring pagoda, we can give it a try and see if we can't keep him here." Hua Tianyang handed the god conferring pagoda to the other party and nodded. "Try to keep him here." Whoosh! After receiving the god conferring pagoda, Swearin Ji turned into a beam of black light and gave chase in the blink of an eye. A strange look flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. What is the origin of this god conferring pagoda? To think that Senior Swearin Ji is confident of using this pagoda to seal a faux god? Hua Tianyang thought for a while before replying. It can't really be considered an origin. However, in Swearin Ji's hands, it can indeed bring out greater might. We can give it a try. As Hua Tianyang spoke, a few figures flew over. They were Ao Jiao, Hao Kai, and the Solar Divine Temple Faux God. Hua Tianyang recognized that faux god and introduced him to Xiao Chen. This is the Solar Divine Temple's High Priest. He can be considered a veteran faux god. Many thanks to Alliance Chief Hua and little brother Xiao Chen for saving my Golden Crow Empire's calamity. After the High Priest stepped forward, he immediately bowed to express his gratitude. He even gave Xiao Chen a few more glances. Clearly, the High Priest had already learned of Xiao Chen's identity from Ao Jiao. After a simple exchange of pleasantries, Xiao Chen sent a voice projection to Hua Tianyang. "Senior Hua, go ahead and discuss proper matters with the High Priest first." Hua Tianyang glanced at Ao Jiao and entered deep thought. Then he smiled faintly and said, "High Priest, now that the Golden Crow Empire has thoroughly offended the Bushin Palace, my Heavenly Alliance is willing to protect the Golden Crow Empire with just one word from the High Priest." This. The High Priest hesitated somewhat. If he agreed, it would be equivalent to the Golden Crow Empire joining the Heavenly Alliance. Hua Tianyang smiled and said, "High Priest, is it convenient for us to communicate in private?" "Sure." After the High Priest left, Ao Jiao relaxed visibly. Then she chided, "You idiot, you scared me to death earlier. How could you face a faux god alone?" Xiao Chen felt warmth in his heart. He smiled but did not reply. "You are still smiling? I will hit you." Seeing that Xiao Chen only knew how to smile without replying, Ao Jiao pretended to be angry as she stretched out her hand to slap him. Who knew? Xiao Chen did not dodge. Ao Jiao just stretched out her hand and touched Xiao Chen's face. The atmosphere immediately turned somewhat strange. Hao Kai showed an awkward expression as he performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Your Highness, the Divine Daughter, I'll return first to deal with the follow-up matters of the Divine Temple." Ao Jiao pinched Xiao Chen's cheek, blushing slightly. Then she turned her head to the side and said, "Just this once." "Got it." Xiao Chen stretched out his hands and gently pinched Ao Jiao's cheeks as he smiled faintly. "You." Clearly, Ao Jiao was caught off guard by Xiao Chen's sudden attack. Her heart thumped wildly, and she asked only after a while, "Why? Why are you here in the Golden Crow Empire?" "I came to see you. However, I happened to run into this matter. Where's little yellow feather? Why don't I see it?" Xiao Chen appeared very natural. Back when he saw Shi Wangmu turn to dust, he had figured out many things. Treasure the people who love you and don't make them cry. At the mention of little yellow feather, Ao Jiao's expression recovered to normal. She said angrily, "Those people from the Bushin Palace are too much of a bastard. To think that they want to capture little yellow feather and make it Qin Ming's divine pet. Little yellow feather is currently absorbing the ancestors' inheritance in the solar divine pool. When it comes out, I will definitely go with it to meet that dragon god crown prince. Coincidentally, I want to go as well. Let's meet up in the divine dragon empire 5 days later." When Ao Jiao heard that, her expression changed slightly. She knew that Xiao Chen would definitely go to the divine dragon empire. However, based on Xiao Chen's words, it seemed like he still had something to do and did not intend to go with her. "You still have something to do?" Xiao Chen nodded. After some thought, he said, "With the Heavenly Alliance's protection, the Bushin Palace will not dare to seek trouble for the Golden Crow Empire. At that time, you can go with the seniors of the Golden Crow Empire. I will meet up with you on time." A reluctance to part appeared in Ao Jiao's heart. However, she understood Xiao Chen the best. She knew that he would not change his mind once he made up his mind. "Be careful. I'll wait for you," Ao Jiao said with a grave expression. "I'll be fine." Xiao Chen thought for a while. Now that he could even kill foe gods, going to the Starry Heavens Dragon prison to rescue the previous generation Heaven Dragon should not be a problem. Chapter 2354. The Starry Heavens Dragon prison locked up all the divine dragon empires, sovereign personage, and above criminals. It was deployed in the vast and boundless starry heavens. The vast starry sea was vast. The Starry Heavens Dragon prison was like a beacon in the boundless starry heavens. Searching blindly was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Xiao Chan once went there with the Heaven Dragon Palace's second palace master and had some impression of it. Even so, it took 3 days for Xiao Qin to find the Starry Heavens Dragon prison. The vast starry heavens were boundless and boundless. Xiao Qin stood on an asteroid the size of a city. When he looked around, he saw hundreds of thousands of asteroids of various sizes forming a vast and vast formation. In the depths, it was like standing in the middle of a boundless ocean, vast and boundless, using the stars as the stones and the starry heavens as the foundation to lay this horrifying formation. As Xiao Qin stood at the edge, he could clearly feel the vast and peerless pressure. When looking into the distance, he was horrified to discover dense essence and killing intent gathering at the center of the formation in the asteroid belt. Countless negative emotions and resentment intertwined and condensed into a terrifying human face. Thousands of faces struggled and twisted under the skin of the human face. Xiao Chan recalled the first time he saw this. At that time, his cultivation was too low, so he did not dare to look at it. Now that he looked at it again, it was less shocking, but that was all. Drip, drip. The sound of water dripping came from the depths of the asteroid belt. Every time a drop landed, it made one's heart tremble and soul tremble. Shao Qin knew that this was the heaven dragon's heart blood continuously dripping. Closing his eyes, Shao Qin recalled the steps that the second palace master once took. With his current strength, he could definitely kill his way in without any fear. However, he was going to save someone, not to flaunt his strength. It would be pointless if he startled the heaven dragon and caused the heaven dragon's death. After a while, Shao Qin opened his eyes and gently leaped up, landing on an asteroid. The formation formed by thousands of asteroids immediately spun, continuously, moving the might of the world. Even a sovereign emperor would have to be careful and not be careless. With a relaxed expression, Shao Qin followed the second palace master's footsteps in his memory and went deeper. The magnificent meteor formation revolved slowly without any ripples. After a while, Shao Qin was not far from the core of the formation. At the center of the formation, the distorted human face formed by endless killing intent, resentment, anger, and hatred grew clearer and clearer. It's still the same. Shao Qin sighed softly. The starry sky dragon penitentiary had not changed much since his last visit. His gaze pierced through the layers of fog. Under the distorted human face was a black dragon city that shone with a metallic luster. Draconic Prison City. He had finally arrived. Shao Qin spread out his soul power and sensed the experts in the city. He was extremely cautious. In the center of Dragon City, on an altar, there was a pillar of heaven dragon that was as beautiful as fresh blood. On top of the dragon pillar, there was a long sword that exuded a chilly aura. This sword has an impressive background. Previously, Shao Qin had not noticed it. Now he could tell that this sword had many tricks up its sleeves. This sword stabbed into the heaven dragon pillar should be no weaker than the golden dragon race's emperor dragon sword. Shao Qin ignored this sword for now. Chains flickering with a dark light bound a petrified cultivator under the heaven dragon pillar. Even though that cultivator was petrified, his eyes still sparkled with vigor, filled with spirituality. The petrified cultivator was the previous generation heaven dragon, Jiang He's father. A fierce divine flame burned on the altar, making the heaven dragon pillar as hot as molten lava all year round. There was a sword wound on the petrified cultivator's chest. His heart blood dripped down continuously. The dragon pillar, which should have been fiery red, looked as beautiful as fresh blood after being watered with the heart blood. Even though Shao Qin had seen it once before, he still felt shocked when he saw it again. What a cruel method! The purple gold dragon emperor was truly deranged. However, what impressed Shao Qin even more was the special aura of the previous generation heaven dragon. That was a boldness that encompassed the entire dragon city. The dragon prison, filled with sin and negative emotions, could not make him sink into depravity. Shao Qin clearly suffered, but he did not show any rage or helplessness. After concealing his aura, Shao Qin perfectly merged into the dark space. Then he leaped off the meteor. Without startling anyone in the Dragon City, Shao Qin silently landed on the altar without anyone noticing. Whoosh! Shao Qin felt the flame on the altar at close range. A surging heat wave surged over like a surging sea of fire. The surging dragon, might contained within the flame, surged over. What a fellow! Not only did this flame have a startling heat wave, but it could also invade a cultivator's soul. Shao Qin gently waved his sleeves and casually scattered the surging heat wave. Then he stabilized himself. Blue Dragon's descendant, we meet again. The previous generation, Heaven Dragon's hoarse voice rang out in Shao Qin's mind. Clearly he was still alive. I'm here to save you. I already went to the Blue Dragon's old land and obtained the Blue Dragon's inheritance. I still have some questions that I want to ask you. While speaking to the previous generation Heaven Dragon, Shao Qin sized up the Heaven Dragon pillar and the surrounding seal. Shao Qin thought about how to break the seal and rescue Jianghe. Don't. There is an old monster here, a 9-vein sovereign emperor. He is even more horrifying than a faux god. Leave quickly. No matter how strong you are not a match for him in this starry heavens dragon prison. Unexpectedly, the previous generation heaven dragon directly told Xiaoqin to leave quickly. What a strange aura, both familiar and strange. Just as Xiaoqin was about to speak, a black-clad old man suddenly appeared at the top of the heaven dragon pillar, with a black sword was stabbed. Suddenly, a black-robed old man appeared and muttered to himself. His voice was old and hoarse, like an ancient hourglass that was slowly flowing. Just as Xiaoqin was about to move, an overwhelming killing intent assaulted his entire body, sending a chill through him. An unprecedented danger. A killing intent that he had not felt even when facing Baiju enveloped Xiaoqin. Retreat. Xiaoqin immediately made up his mind to retreat 500,000 kilometers away, leaving the Dragon City and landing in an asteroid belt. As the asteroid circled the Dragon City, Xiaoqin looked at the black-clad old man. Whoosh! Nearly the instant Xiaoqin landed on the asteroid and looked up, the black-clad old man drew the black sword stabbed into the dragon pillar. In the blink of an eye, the black-clad old man arrived before Xiaoqin. Then, he did not hesitate to pierce Xiaoqin's heart. In the time it took for a spark to fly, a vast and boundless sword intent charged over at incredible speed. Dang! Xiaoqin did not even have time to think. He instantly drew Heavenly Slayer and blocked this sword. The saber and sword clashed, producing a loud sound. The horrifying impact knocked Xiaoqin back 50 kilometers. How strong! As Xiaoqin looked at the black-clad old man, he felt greatly startled. This black-clad old man was very strong, but the sword in his hand was even stronger. When Xiaoqin looked carefully, he was somewhat surprised to discover that this old man's eyes were empty. He was completely blind. Bang! The blind old man's wrist, which held the sword, shook gently, and an endless stream of black sword light swept out. Xiaoqin did not dare to be careless. He brought out his flawless saber Dao to its limits. He used the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique to clash with the other party, sending out many sword lights. This person before Xiaoqin was supported by a formation in this asteroid belt. Furthermore, that black sword contained an incredibly heavy, destructive sword intent. The pressure that it gave Xiaoqin surpassed that of Baiju's earlier pressure. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged 100 moves. Xiaoqin relied on the Cycle Great Dao and the recovery ability of life and death to block the other party's attacks. Timing, geography, and people worked together. This created an unparalleled advantage for the blind old man. Coupled with the other party's experienced mental state, Xiaoqin could not find any openings. On the other hand, Xiaoqin revealed some openings several times amid the other party's surging attacks. Xiaoqin did not know whether the other party was overly suspicious or did not want to take risks, but he did not grasp these openings. While Xiaoqin felt lucky, he also felt some doubt. Go. I should not be a match for you outside. However, you are not a match for me in this starry heavens dragon prison. A hoarse voice rang out. After the blind old man gained the upper hand, he tried to dissuade the other party. Sorry, since I'm already here, I do not intend to return empty-handed. Whoosh! A flash of electric light came from Xiaoqin's forehead, illuminating the eternally dark, starry heavens dragon prison. The divine lightning talisman appeared before the blind old man at a horrifying speed. The blind old man's expression changed slightly. He slowly raised his left hand, and the hundreds of thousands of meteors under his feet continuously gathered in his hand. As the meteors entered, the flow of time in front of him seemed to slow down. The explosive speed of the divine lightning talisman actually slowed down. Boom! When the divine lightning talisman finally arrived before the blind old man, a star chart made up of hundreds of thousands of meteors blocked the blind old man's path. In an instant, this star chart shattered. However, the divine lightning talismans might also decrease significantly, allowing the blind old man to block it with his sword. Xiao Chun frowned slightly. Given this, even if he executed flower blooming and flower extinguishing without stopping, he would not be able to kill the other party. Lord Dragon Sovereign. He is the blue dragon's descendant. He is Xiao the Xiao that I once told you about. Just at this moment, a figure weaved through the shock waves generated by the two's exchange with great difficulty. This person rushed over with all his might, showing an anxious expression as he shouted at the blind old man. Xiao looked around. When he saw that it was the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master, he was immediately shocked. The first palace master addressed this person as Lord Dragon Sovereign. Could this blind old man be the Shadow Dragon Sovereign? No wonder this aura feels both familiar and strange. Blind old man greets, Lord Blue Dragon King. When the black-clad old man heard the first palace master's words, his attitude changed drastically. He knelt down with his sword in hand and slammed it down heavily. Chapter 2355. Withdraw. The blind old man's sudden change in attitude startled Xiao. Then he quickly withdrew the divine lightning talisman into his forehead. Xiao flew forward and helped the blind old man up. The battle between the two rivaled that of foe gods, producing shock waves and lingering mysterious phenomena. Even sovereign emperors had to tread carefully, like they were treading on thin ice. The first palace master put in a lot of effort before arriving beside the two. He first bowed to the blind old man before looking at Xiao with an extremely complicated expression. First palace master, receive Xiao bow. When Xiao saw the first palace master again, all sorts of emotions welled up in his heart. Without much thought, Xiao directly knelt on the asteroid fragment and kowtowed heavily. It was hard to imagine how much danger the first palace master had taken back then. Xiao dared to save him from the hands of ancestor dragon cities, people, while he could have died at any moment. There was no way Xiao could repay such kindness. Waves appeared in the blind old man's heart. Clearly, he was shocked by Xiao actions. Despite Xiao age and current strength, he did not put on any pretense before his benefactor. I can't accept this. I can't. The first palace master was startled as well. He quickly helped Xiao up and smiled. There is no need to be so polite. Ha ha ha. I've been living quite well over the years. Xiao stood up. However, he had thought things through. Back in the Heaven Dragon Palace, the first palace master had taken good care of Xiao. The first palace master took good care of the first palace master. He could be said to be half a master, forever senior. Even if the first palace master had not risked his life to save Xiao in Divine Dragon City, he should have maintained a respectful heart. Later, Xiao heard from the third palace master that he had been locked up for 100 years. Unexpectedly, he was locked up in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison, a place akin to hell on earth. If the first palace master had known, he would have risked his life to save Xiao long ago. Now that Xiao thought about it, the third palace master must have known about Xiao temper. The third palace master did not dare to tell Xiao the truth, so that Xiao would feel less guilty and cultivate in peace. The first palace master smiled and said, Lord Dragon Sovereign took care of me in the starry heavenly dragon prison, so I did not suffer much. Xiao let me introduce you. This is the Divine Dragon Empire's Shadow Dragon Sovereign. After something happened to you, the Blood Dragon Guards secretly escorted you out of the Divine Dragon Empire. This was Lord Dragon Sovereign's order. Thank you, Senior, for helping me back then. The blind old man waved his hand and said, Blue Dragon King, you are being too polite. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor created our Blood Dragon Guards. From the moment it was established, it obeyed only the Blue Dragon bloodline. After the blue dragon bloodline was destroyed, it became loyal only to the divine dragon empire. I will not respect the purple gold dragon emperor and wait for the blue dragon's descendant to appear. Now that the blue dragon king has appeared, I know your orders. Shao Qin came to a sudden realization. So that was how it was. It was similar to what he had thought back then. The blood dragon guards were indeed the backup that the blood-soaked dragon emperor left behind, a secret force that helped the blue dragon bloodline rise. Lord Dragon Sovereign, what do you mean by the blue dragon king? The first palace master listened very carefully. From the start to the end, the shadow dragon sovereign addressed Shao Qin as the blue dragon king. The blind old man nodded and said, "My lord has the royal bloodline of the blue dragon bloodline. It is the royal blue dragon bloodline acknowledged by the ancient dragon god for a long time. If I guessed right, Lord Blue Dragon King must have obtained the royal genealogical record and added his true name in it." The first palace master asked excitedly, "Shao Qin, is this true?" Shao Qin nodded and said, "Senior Dragon Sovereign is right. I have indeed obtained the royal genealogical record. After I save the Heaven Dragon, I will be going to the Divine Dragon Empire." At the same time, Shao Qin gave a detailed explanation of the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's plot to abdicate the throne to Qin Ming. Humph! The Bushin Palace has always been the Holy Lord's pawn, and this Purple Gold Dragon Emperor has always been the Holy Lord's lackey. In the past, everyone held back because they were not a match for him, unable to resist the Bushin Palace. Now that Lord Blue Dragon King has brought the royal genealogical record, my blood dragon guards will definitely do our best to protect him. The blind old man snorted coldly. Clearly, he had long been dissatisfied with the purple gold dragon emperor. From the blind old man's words, it was clear that the blue dragon bloodline was no longer around. He was only loyal to the divine dragon empire and never truly trusted the purple gold dragon emperor. Shao Qin rejoiced in his heart. With the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's help and the first Palace Master's rallying power among the mixed blood dragons, he would not have to worry about anything on this trip. With Wang Zhe's genealogical record and the Heavenly Alliance's support, he would not have to worry about anything on this trip. Lord Dragon Sovereign, what is the origin of the sword in your hand? Shao Qin could not help asking as he glanced at the black sword. The blind old man explained, "This is the Black Dragon King's sword, the god-killing sword. The blood-soaked dragon emperor bestowed it to the blood dragon guards and passed it down to me. I can only bring out less than 1% of its might. If I unleashed all of its power, even I would be devoured. Less than 1% of its might was already so horrifying." It turned out that it was the Black Dragon King's god-killing sword. After a pause, the blind old man continued, "However, the saber in your hand has a great origin as well. I feel that you have not brought out the full might of this saber, either." Shao Qin felt startled. Although this Lord Dragon Sovereign was blind, he was not blind. Although this Lord Dragon Sovereign was blind, his ability to see through everything was hundreds or even thousands of times more powerful than that of some people with good eyesight. The true might of Heavenly Slayer could only be brought out when it perfectly merged with the Heavenly Tao killing formation. "Senior, can you let out Senior Heaven Dragon?" After chatting idly, Shao Qin got to the point. Most of the people locked up here are dragon race traders or people who committed heinous crimes. However, the previous generation Heaven Dragon is not one of them. Naturally, this old man will obey the Blue Dragon King's orders. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two followed the blind old man. With a few flashes, they arrived at the Dragon City and stood before the Heaven Dragon Pillar. The blind old man ferociously swung the god-killing sword in his hand, sweeping away the divine flame on the altar. Dang! 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 A few more sword lights flashed. Ding! Ding! Dang! The chains binding the Heaven Dragon all shattered. I can undo these seals. However, I cannot remove the curse that the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor left on the heaven dragon's physical body. The so-called curse should be the petrified physical body of the heaven dragon. Let me take a look. Shao Chen arrived beside the heaven dragon and reached into the heaven dragon's body. Then he frowned slightly. The previous generation heaven dragons sighed. It should be very difficult to deal with, right? This is a curse secret technique that the Holy Lord taught him. It is activated with a soul treasure. Back then, if not for this curse, how could the purple gold dragon emperor defeat me? After withdrawing his hand, Shao Chen did not rush to return. After some thought, he asked, back then, why did you fight with the purple gold dragon emperor? I don't believe it was for the dragon emperor position. The blind old man replied, he went to the blue dragon's old land and learned that the golden dragon bloodline is just the Holy Lord's lackey. In his impulse, he wanted to change the situation by himself. The first palace master sighed softly. Back then, I advised him to endure and not do anything. There is no need to mention the past. Thank you. The heaven dragon smiled faintly, not regretting his hot-bloodedness back then, which resulted in decades of torture. Have you thought about Jianghe? Shao Chen suddenly said. After you left, he must have suffered a great grievance. When he was unconscious in the ethereal Immortal Palace, he kept calling out your name, continuously asking why you did not tell him. I feel that he should not mind the grievance and pain he suffered all these years. He only minded his father not telling him. Jiang, at the mention of Jiang, the previous generation heaven dragon, could not control his emotions. A tear leaked out of his petrified body. Let me help you remove the curse. Without saying anything more, Shao Chen landed a palm strike on the heaven dragon's petrified body. The cycle great Tao circulated and life and death cycled. A vast and boundless life force poured into the heaven dragon's body, slowly battering the cursed seed in it. The blind old man felt startled. Shao Chen was going to use force to break the curse, directly using the boundless life force to destroy the curse's root. However, such a method required an extremely vast amount of life force. Could it be that Shao Chen is going to use his life origin energy to help remove the curse? No, this is the cycle great Tao. When the blind old man recalled Shao Chen's horrifying recovery ability when he fought him, he came to a realization. Even so, it still required a vast amount of divine energy and a long time. Blue Dragon King, I'll help you. The blind old man took a step forward, and the dense divine energy in his body entered Shao Chen's body without hesitation. Many thanks. With the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's help, Shao Chen's efficiency immediately increased significantly. The heaven dragon's petrified lower body slowly turned illusory. In just a moment, it recovered its physical body. Shao Chen persisted. An hour later, the heaven dragon's physical body was completely restored. Crack! Shao Chen used his boundless life force to forcefully destroy the curse's root in the heaven dragon's body. The heaven dragon was incredibly excited, showing a spirited expression. He wished he could raise his head to the sky and roar. After so many years, he finally regained his freedom. Congratulations, Senior. Shao Chen smiled faintly. He believed that he would feel gratified to see his father return in the Divine Dragon Empire. After some thought, the blind old man said, Everyone rest first. Wait for me to make arrangements. We will return to the Divine Dragon Empire 2 days later. I want to see how the purple gold dragon emperor will pass his throne to Qin Ming. Now that everything was ready, all they needed to do was wait, and they could charge back to the Divine Dragon Empire. Chapter 2356 Ancestor Dragon City. This was the most ancient dragon city in the Divine Dragon Empire. It had been passed down for a long time. Only the most talented dragon race disciples in the empire had the qualifications to reside there. Those who could enter were either cultivators with divine dragon bloodlines or extremely talented mixed-blood dragon cultivators. Normally, it was not open to the public. It would only be open to the public during grand ceremonies or extremely important events. Clearly, the battle for the Dragon Emperor was a major event. Compared to offering sacrifices to the Dragon God, it was not much different. In the divine Dragon Empire, the Dragon Emperor could reign for only 500 years. After that, there would be a new competition. However, ever since the Blue Dragon bloodline had been exterminated, the position of Dragon Emperor was almost always held by the Golden Dragon bloodline. The other divine dragon bloodlines could not compete with it at all. The current Dragon Emperor was the Golden Dragon clan's Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. According to the clan's rules, he could continue to reign for another 10 years. However, he chose to abdicate on his own accord today to compete for the position of Dragon Emperor again. The 6 color divine dragons and the heaven dragon, made up of mixed blood dragons, were qualified to send one person to compete for the Dragon Emperor position. It was said to be a competition, but anyone with a discerning eye knew. Qin Ming had already obtained the inheritance of the Bushan Palace and was now a 9-vein sovereign emperor with a grade 7 golden dragon bloodline. The others simply could not compete with him. The so-called competition was just a formality. The upper echelon of the 6 colored divine dragons and the Heaven Dragon Palace had already arrived at Ancestor Dragon City's Dragon God Plaza. The ancient Dragon God Square was vast and boundless. The Dragon God statue stood tall and dignified. Many figures filled the plaza. All the elite cultivators in Ancestor Dragon City had rushed over. Dragons gathered from all directions, and the wind and clouds surged. The 6 colored divine dragons were the Gold Dragon, Silver Dragon, White Dragon, Blue Dragon, Green Dragon, and Red Dragon. Now that they had all arrived, they were all gathered in one place. The Golden Dragon race was the mightiest. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor sat on the throne, and many Golden Dragon race experts stood around him. Apart from that, there were also other experts from the great desolate Era bloodline empire who had come to observe the ceremony. Surrounded by the stars, Qin Ming wore the Golden Dragon holy armor. Coupled with his handsome appearance, he looked extraordinarily heroic and outstanding. The dragon might of the primordial Golden Dragon emanated from his body, giving off a strong, oppressive force. Even though everyone here was a sovereign emperor with the bloodline of the Golden Dragon race and the other empires, they still felt significant pressure. Bai Yunfei and Xiahou Zun from the White Marsh Beast Empire sighed inwardly. The one who obtained the inheritance of Bushan Palace and became the son of an era that Bushan Palace focused on nurturing had already left the 2 of them in the dust. Qin Ming, the battle to become the Dragon Emperor this time is none other than you. I think that the competitors from the other 5 color divine dragons are not even a 10th as good as you. Bai Yunfei said in a relaxed manner after looking around and sizing up the competitors of the various schools. Qin Ming said coolly, the position of Dragon Emperor is definitely mine. The entire Bushan Palace supports me. Who dares to oppose me? I just want to know whether Xiao Qin dares to come or not. At the mention of Xiao Qin, Qin Ming's eyes revealed a thick murderous intent. That hatred was frightening. Bai Yunfei and Xiahou Zun both knew that Xiao Qian once crushed Qin Ming into meat paste in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Qin Ming nearly died. The name Xiao Qin had already become taboo to Qin Ming. The others simply did not dare to mention it in front of him. That Jiang, he seems somewhat unfathomable. Xiahou Zun said softly as he pointed to the southwest of the plaza where the Heaven Dragon Palace was. After Jiang, he arrived in the Divine Dragon Empire. He naturally obtained a spot in the Heaven Dragon Palace with a status as a Heaven Dragon descendant. Qin Ming showed a cold expression as he said indifferently, I heard that he refined the entire ethereal Immortal Palace and completely comprehended the mysteries of the Heaven Dragon. He is an opponent worth paying attention to. However, that is all. That person is the top beauty of your dragon race. Bai Yunfei's gaze fell on the opposite side of the plaza, where the White Dragon Palace's people gathered. Within the vast crowd of people, there was a beautiful figure. Her style was unmatched, and her temperament was otherworldly. She had a face that could topple cities, and there was a myriad of charm to her. She was easily recognized. Strong possessiveness flashed in Qin Ming's eyes. He snorted coldly and said, "That's right. It is her, Lu Rie. This woman has always been cold to me. She even gave me a bad look in public, several times. Let's see how she dares to reject me after I become the Dragon Emperor." Xiaozun smiled and said, "In that case, I'll congratulate Brother Qin in advance. You obtained both the country and the beauty." At this moment, where the White Dragon Palace's people gathered, a girl beside Lu Riyue frowned and said, "Elder sister, that Qin Ming is looking at you like a thief again. He must be up to something." This girl was Lu Riyun, the White Dragon King's daughter, the White Dragon race's little princess. "Let him be. Someone will deal with him." Lu Riyun showed a somewhat sad expression. There was practically no suspense in this fight to become the Dragon Emperor. No one expected the Bushan Palace to interfere in the fight to become the Dragon Emperor. If Qin Ming had not obtained the Bushan Palace's inheritance, Lu Riyue would have been strong enough to fight him. Given Lu Riyue's strength, she could still fight against him. Now he was being nurtured as an epic son. Qin Ming was a 9-veined sovereign emperor. Furthermore, he had awakened his ancient golden dragon bloodline. The other competitors, including Lu Riyue, would not be a match for him. The so-called fight to become the Dragon Emperor was just a show to justify the other party's ascension to the Dragon Emperor position. However, Lu Riyue had heard that there was an overt scheme in this fight to become the Dragon Emperor. Someone had secretly allied the epic masters of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao to kill the person who betrayed the empire. That person had fought against Yuan Zhen, who possessed the entire Buddhist nation, by himself in the Yanwu dynasty. That person had not been at a disadvantage against Yuan Zhen and left calmly. That person's terrifying strength inspired fear in all the other epic masters. After learning that Qin Ming would definitely come to Ancestor Dragon City to participate in the fight to become the Dragon Emperor, they worked together to lay a trap. Then, they would turn this place into his burial ground. For some reason, Lu Riyue felt worried in her heart, hoping that that person would not appear. There was a vague figure lingering in the depths of her memory. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not recall who it was. "Riyue, what are you thinking?" The White Dragon King asked softly as he walked over and looked at Lu Riyue. Lu Riyue recovered her wits and replied softly, "I'm thinking that since it is just a formality, can we choose to give up?" "That's right. Father, why put on an act? Why give him a legitimate chance to ascend to the Dragon Emperor position?" Lu Riyun said quickly, clearly in agreement. A pained expression flashed in the White Dragon King's eyes. He smiled bitterly and said, "The other divine dragon palaces are thinking the same thing. However, we need to continue this act. This is because we have the dragon race bloodline flowing in our veins. Our fates are firmly tied to the Empire. We cannot break free." "Father, if you had known that the fight to become the Dragon Emperor would end up like this back then, would you still have nurtured me to fight for the Dragon Emperor position?" Lu Riyue asked softly. The White Dragon King's heart skipped a beat. As Lu Riyue grew stronger, she could already feel that some of her memories were missing. However, Lu Riyue had never doubted him to his face. It was clear that she still respected this father of hers in name. "If I had a choice, I would never let you participate in the battle of the Dragon Emperor," the White Dragon King said directly without hesitation. Many years ago, when he first met Xiaoqin, a certain thought in the depths of his heart had already been shaken. Was bringing Lu Riyue from the Sky Dome realm to the Great Thousand Realms a wrong decision for the sake of the White Dragon race? To be honest, he was at a loss. If that person really came, then with Xiao Chen's current strength, how was Xiao Chen supposed to face him? If he could, like Lu Riyue, he hoped that Xiao Chen would not come. "Xiao." At this moment, The radiance of the blazing sun shone on the majestic dragon god statue. All of a sudden, dazzling golden light shone brilliantly. The ancient dragon god statue stood at the center of the Dragon God Plaza, rising proudly like a towering mountain. The most eye-catching thing was its vigorous dragon claw. Under the dragon god's gaze, it looked very divine. The time is up. The competition to become the Dragon Emperor officially begins. Palace masters, please send out the candidates of your palaces. Whoever can climb onto the dragon claw and receive the gaze of the dragon god will become the new Dragon Emperor. The purple gold Dragon Emperor announced loudly as he stood up from his throne. After speaking, the Red Dragon Palace's candidate, Morongyen, was the first to arrive. Like a meteor, he landed heavily on the Dragon God Plaza, causing a fiery light to spread out. The Blue Dragon Palace's Situ Changfeng leaped up gently and followed closely behind. One candidate after another landed on the Dragon God Plaza. However, they did not attract much cheers or attention. Everyone knew that there was not much suspense in this competition to become the Dragon Emperor. Only when Jiang arrived did he attract some attention. After all, the Heaven Dragon was a respectable existence in the Divine Dragon Empire. Jiang, he could inherit his father's will and comprehend the Heaven Dragon's mysteries, which made some people view him in a different light. Boom! A vast, ancient dragon might suddenly burst out. It was Qin Ming arriving at the Dragon God Plaza. When Qin Ming unleashed his 9-vein sovereign emperor cultivation, he instantly outshone the other 6. As the ancient golden dragon might roared, he attracted everyone's attention and startled cries. Qin Ming's might was much stronger than that of many older generation 9-vein sovereign emperors. Jiang, he did not look at Qin Ming. Instead, his gaze fell on the dragon god statue. The statue was 30 kilometers tall, towering over the vast plaza. Even at the periphery, one could clearly feel the dragon god's might and pressure. If one approached, this might and pressure would be even more horrifying. Qin Ming's cultivation base and the primordial golden dragon bloodline gave him an absolute advantage. Indeed, after Qin Ming arrived at the Dragon God Plaza, he took the lead and charged over. Whoosh! 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 After crossing the periphery, many ancient dragon generals materialized in the Dragon God Plaza. It was like they traveled through the great desolate Aeon, arriving in heavy armor. They stopped everyone from advancing, swearing to defend the dragon god's might to the death. Qin Ming showed a disdainful expression as he wielded the Emperor Dragon's sword and moved about fearlessly. He left a trail of dust in his wake, easily shattering the dragon generals that materialized in one exchange. In mere moments, the distance between him and the others became clear. In the end, he is the Qin Ming who obtained the inheritance of the Bushan Palace. Such grace has never been seen in the previous Dragon Emperor races. He's too strong. He's advancing so quickly. I'm afraid he's going to create an unprecedented record. Those ancient dragon generals are so weak before him. Indeed, if not for Sidu Changfeng, Morongyen, and the others fighting bitterly, others would think that they are just decorations. Qin Ming's unrivaled grace won the applause of the crowd. The dragon race disciples gathered in the surroundings were all shocked. Just as Qin Ming was about to enter the dragon god domain and formally climb the dragon god statue, the entire ancestor dragon city suddenly shook. The entire ancestor dragon city suddenly trembled. A melodious saber hum rang out. A saber light covered the blazing sun in the sky for 5,000 kilometers around. The sky instantly turned dark. The eyes of Ao Jiao and the Heavenly Alliance experts where the Heaven Dragon Palace was gathered lit up. Shao Qin is here. Chapter 2357. Qin Ming's aura was flourishing in Dragon God Plaza. When this strange change happened, his expression changed slightly. Qin Ming had charged forward courageously in Dragon God Plaza, getting into a killing frenzy. He had thought that Shao Qin would not come. Who knew? Just as Qin Ming prepared to enter the dragon god's domain and climb the dragon god statue, Shao Qin suddenly appeared. I can't be bothered with you. I'll climb the dragon god statue first before settling the score with you. Qin Ming quickly made up his mind to continue forward and enter the dragon god's domain. As for Shao Qin, there were so many experts in the Bushan Palace. They were not just for show. It would not be that easy for him to cause trouble. Kill him. The purple gold dragon emperor ordered mercilessly from the throne with a cold expression. Whoosh! 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 The many foe gods from the Bushan Palace immediately soared into the air to attack Shao Qin. Protect Shao Qin, Mu Zifeng said softly with a faint smile. Mu Zifeng, who was with the Heaven Dragon Palace's group, smiled faintly and said softly, Whoosh! Under the lead of Suiren Ji and Hua Tianyang, the Hidden Heavenly Alliance, foe gods blocked this group of foe gods with ferocious auras. The large number of foe gods in the sky above Ancestor Dragon City instantly fought, looking like they would tear the entire sky apart. The purple gold dragon emperor sat on the throne on the tall platform, not showing any surprise on his face. He had expected that this group of Heavenly Alliance foe gods would come to support Shao Qin long ago. With the support of Ancestor Dragon City's formation, this group of foe gods would not be able to cause too much of a stir. As for Shao Qin, there were plenty of people to deal with him. There was no need for him to expose too many of his trump cards. Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, you lackey! Do you still remember me, Jiang Tian? Just at this moment, a ferocious roar resounded throughout the entire Ancestor Dragon City. The Heaven Dragons rage. The dragon roar unique to the Heaven Dragon roared in all directions, shaking the sky. This dragon roar suppressed the might of the battle between the foe gods in the sky. What's going on? The voice that the purple gold dragon emperor had not heard in a long time suddenly appeared. The expression of the confident purple gold dragon emperor changed drastically. Xiao, the figure of the previous generation Heaven Dragon Jiang Tian, arrived in the blink of an eye and landed on the tall building opposite Dragon God Plaza. Shao Chen looked down at the purple gold dragon emperor from above. A boundless fighting spirit blazed in his eyes, and his dragon might blaze like a fierce fire. That pure Heaven Dragon battle will attracted the attention of countless dragon race martial artists. The Heaven Dragon was a special bloodline that surpassed the 6 vain divine dragons. It would forever be a legend of the dragon race. Although the divine dragon empire had not seen Jiang He for many years, Jiang He's story had been circulating in private. Heaven Dragon's might. It really is the Heaven Dragon. Is he that Jiang, he who offended the Emperor's might and was imprisoned in the Starry Dragon Penitentiary? Why did he come out? This dragon might is so terrifying. The shock that Jiang he brought was even greater than that of the group of foe gods in the Astral War. You dragon race traitor, you are truly bold. To think that you dare to come to Ancestor Dragon City. 6-colored divine dragons, listen up. Kill him. The purple gold dragon emperor did his best to suppress the shock in his heart. He recalled that this was Ancestor Dragon City, where all the experts of the dragon race gathered. As the purple gold dragon emperor could command the dragons. There was no need to fear this Jiang Tian. After all, the purple gold dragon emperor controlled the dragon race's dark seal. The older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City had to obey his orders. Who dares to attack? A hoarse voice came from behind Jiang Tian. Then the Shadow Dragon's sovereign swung the god-slaying sword in his hand. Ta! 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 Inside Ancestor Dragon City, the Blood Dragon guards riding great desolate Ian mutated beasts wore scarlet masks and battle armor. More than 1,000 Blood Dragon guards rushed over from all directions. Without exception, they were all Sovereign Emperor experts. The Blood Dragon Guards was a faction of the Blue Dragon bloodline that the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor personally established. After enduring for tens of thousands of years, the Blood Dragon Guards unleashed all their accumulations. The might that erupted startled the purple-gold Dragon Emperor. Lord Dragon Sovereign. The older generation dragon race experts of Ancestor Dragon City clearly recognized the blind old man and respected him. When the blind old man appeared, they were incredibly shocked and no longer dared to attack. The blind old man said indifferently, "The fight to become the Dragon Emperor will continue. Right now, we are only dealing with the grudge between Jiang Tian and the purple gold Dragon Emperor. Those who trust me, the blind old man, do not interfere for now. I will give you an explanation after this. Since Lord Dragon Sovereign has spoken, naturally we do not dare to be rash." Although the blind old man spent most of his time in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison, the older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City still respected him. After the blind old man guaranteed his reputation, these older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City chose to remain neutral for now. Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, do you dare to fight me head-on again? Jiang Tian glared at the purple gold Dragon Emperor as he issued a challenge. The purple gold Dragon Emperor cursed in his heart. The appearance of Jiang Tian and the blind old man completely disrupted his plans. This was especially so for this group of older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City to not listen to his orders. This embarrassed him even more. "I already defeated you before. How hard is it to defeat you again?" Rage filled the purple gold Dragon Emperor's heart. He ferociously slammed the armrest of his throne and soared into the air, charging at Jiang Tian. The series of strange changes not only disrupted the purple gold Dragon Emperor's plans, but also caught the hidden epic scions off guard. Unexpectedly, such a dramatic scene could happen in Ancestor Dragon City. The purple gold Dragon Emperor immediately panicked, allowing Shao Qin to soar through the air and land in Dragon God Plaza. Good timing! When Qin Ming saw Shao Qin land, he stopped thinking about anything else. When Shao Qin landed, he thrust his sword over. Boom! The terrifying dragon might of the primordial golden dragon burst forth from his body as he thrust his sword forward. The instant the sword thrust out, the tip of the sword gathered all the dragon might in one spot. That spot of golden light nearly tore space apart. Scram! Shao Chun descended while carrying an overwhelming saber might. He did not dodge this sword strike that Qin Ming sent out after storing up power. Then he ruthlessly chopped down with Heavenly Slayer. When driven by the cycle great Tao, the flawless saber Tao that surpassed the epic grew endlessly and endlessly. The divine might of Shao Chen's blue dragon sword. He did not show any fear when facing the might of that ancient golden dragon, clashing head-on. Cassier! The saber chopped down on that spot of golden light, forcibly dimming that resplendent sword light. Blood leaked out of Qin Ming's lips as he frantically retreated, completely unable to control himself. Before the horrified expression on Qin Ming's face could fade, Shao Chun pressed forward and brought out his saber Tao to its limits with Heavenly Slayer. The surging Heavenly Tao's killing intent chopped down the golden dragon might, slowly diminishing the vast aura coming from Qin Ming. Even the Shadow Dragon Sovereign said that he was not a match for Shao Qin after leaving the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison. Naturally, Qin Ming's strength went without saying. The moment they clashed, Qin Ming fell into a disadvantageous position. Shao Chen's overwhelming saber intent enveloped him, forcing him to retreat. The blue dragon materialized by Shao Chen's dragon might tore the golden dragon image behind Qin Ming, leaving him in a sorry state. How could Qin Ming's grade 7 golden dragon bloodline compare to Shao Chen's royal blue dragon bloodline? Shao Qin, you forced me to do this. Divine dragon forbidden technique, Dragon God's Rage. After 100 moves, Qin Ming was already in a sorry state. It looked like he was about to lose all his momentum and lose. Qin Ming roared, and his physical body changed wildly. Dense golden dragon scales appeared all over his body continuously elongated, and his limbs turned into dragon claws. Golden dragon horns grew on his forehead as if he was reverting to his ancestry and becoming a true ancient golden dragon. Roar, roar, roar. The roars coming from Qin Ming's body contained a terrifying bestial nature from the great, desolate Aeon, startling everyone present. Their expressions changed drastically. The people who were familiar with Shao Qin said at the same time, "Be careful, Shao Qin! He is reverting to his ancestral roots." When one flower blooms, fragrance wafts everywhere, circulating the cycle great Tao to its limits. Shao Qin took a step forward unhurriedly. When he took this step, it was like he broke the barrier of the world. The surrounding scenery and people all froze. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soft as a swallow, Qin Ming moved like a rainbow. He raised his hand and swung his saber. By the time he turned around, Shao Qin had already sent out 3 saber strikes. Boom! The surrounding scenery started moving again. Before Qin Ming could successfully revert to his ancestral roots, the 3 saber lights pierced through him. Qin Ming's physical body reverted to its original form. As the heavenly Tao's killing intent destroyed him, his life force quickly faded. When the 3 saber lights layered over each other, Qin Ming's life force came to an end. The previously insufferably arrogant Qin Ming died so easily at Shao Chen's hands. He died in an extremely pathetic manner, surpassing everyone's expectations. However, those with good judgment could tell that it was not that Qin Ming was too weak. Instead, it was that Shao Qin was too strong. Whoosh! Before the crowd recovered from the shock of Qin Ming's death, the Dragon God statue suddenly released a bright light as if it came to life. The Dragon God has awakened. Now is the best time to climb the Dragon God statue. As long as we climb that dragon claw, we can receive the Dragon God's blessing. The Dragon God actually awakened. This is a rare auspicious sign. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Figures flashed, and the candidates of the various outer palaces moved at the same time, flying towards the Dragon God statue. Among them, the ones at the very front were Jiang, He, and Lu Riyue. Aside from Shao Chen and Qin Ming, these 2 were much stronger than the others. The difference was obvious. With Qin Ming dead and Shao Chen not moving, the 2 of them would definitely be the fastest. Father, I cannot disappoint Father. Jiang, he showed a determined gaze. He did not stop at all as he climbed the Dragon God statue. Whoosh! However, another figure soon caught up. Now, the 3 of them stood shoulder to shoulder. Each of them contained a different saber intent. It was like 3 saber lights soared into the clouds at the same time. They endured the Dragon God statue's immense might and pressure and reached the peak. Naturally, the one who caught up was Shao Qin. When Jiang he looked back, he could not help thinking about the heavenly book scholar's prediction. The 3 saber lights before Jiang, he seemed to be the same as the prediction from back then. However, Jiang he knew that since Shao Chen intended to compete, his chances of becoming the Dragon Emperor were practically 0. Whoosh! However, just at this moment, Shao Chen suddenly turned around and stopped, blocking Lu Riyue's path. When Jiang he saw this scene, he could not help feeling stunned and stopped as well. Shao Chen turned his head and looked over. Bathed in the Dragon God's light, he smiled softly and said, "Jiang He, don't stop. Prove yourself to your father that you are no longer the child from back then. You are the Jiang He who comprehended the Heaven Dragon's mysteries and can climb to the peak of the Dragon God by yourself." Shao Chen. Jiang, he felt warmth in his heart when he heard that. He felt somewhat surprised that Shao Chen understood him so well. Jiang, he nodded heavily, afraid that Shao Chen would see his moist eyes. Then he immediately turned around and did his best to endure the dragon god's might and pressure with greater confidence. You. Lu Ryue looked at Xiao Qin and was about to speak. Then she saw Xiao Chen turn around, and the boundless power of cycles gathered at his fingertip. Then he pressed his finger on Lu Ryue's forehead and broke the seal in her soul pool at lightning speed. Whoosh! Lu Ryue's memories flashed. The memories that had been sealed away for decades immediately flooded Lu Ryue's mind like the tide. Chapter 2358. Xiao Chen used the power of cycles to break the memory seal in Lu Ryue's soul pool with one finger. Lu Ryue recalled all the things of the past. Lu Ryue appeared somewhat dazed, like she had a very long dream. As she looked at Xiao Chen in front, her eyes instantly turned moist. Xiao Chen! She remembered. She remembered everything. She remembered the various memories she had with Xiao Chen on Qingyun Peak at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. She remembered Ruan from back then and that youth standing at the highest peak of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, loudly declaring that he liked her. There were many more. It was no wonder that after so many years, even if her memories were sealed, no matter how much time passed, no matter how the world changed, she could not erase that trace of love imprinted in the depths of her soul. No matter how much time passed, no matter how the world changed, that trace of love could not erase that trace of love imprinted in the depths of her soul. Back then, they had gone through life and death together. Even if they turned to ashes, that trace of love could still give off a resplendent light in the ashes. You have suffered all these years. You searched so hard for me, and I even injured you. Lu Ryue could not stop the tears in her eyes. When she thought of Xiao Chen, even when the golden dragon bloodline chased after him, he still took the risk to enter the White Dragon Palace to meet her. However, she still injured Xiao Chen. When Lu Ryue thought of this, she could not help but feel guilty. Xiao Chen's eyes moistened slightly. These were tears of joy. At this instant, he knew that he had made the right choice. It was better to let someone else be the Dragon Emperor. Xiao Chen had a free nature and did not like to be someone else's pawn. He was not willing to accept Dragon Emperor Xiao Yan's plan from 10,000 years ago. He just needed to properly repay the Blue Dragon bloodline's kindness. He needed to use his own method to live out his own glory. He did not want to live in a dead person's plan. Even if he had no choice, he had to make his own choices. It's fine. Let's go first. Xiao Chen consoled Lu Ryue. Then he held her hand and soared into the air, landing where the people of the Heaven Dragon Palace gathered. Boom! The purple gold Dragon Emperor fought with Jiang Tian in the sky and lost as well. The purple gold Dragon Emperor was horrified. He was filled with grief and rage. He had lost this battle too thoroughly. Even his most beloved son, Qin Ming, had died in the hands of Xiao Chen. He had lost everything. The purple gold Dragon Emperor noticed the playful expressions of the other palace masters. After so many years of oppression, the other dragon palaces had long since disliked the golden dragon bloodline. Now he had been utterly defeated. There would be no place for him in the divine dragon empire. As long as there's life, there's hope. I'll leave first and make a comeback in the future. Kacha! But just as he was about to move, a ray of sword light pierced through his chest. It was the Shadow Dragon Sovereign who pinned him to the ground, restraining him. Your debt has not been settled yet. It won't be that easy for you to leave. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign's tone was cold, and his expression was indifferent. All these years you have been loyal to the Holy Lord's lackey, suppressing the other divine dragon temples and framing the Heaven Dragon. All these have to be accounted for. Whoosh! Suddenly, 2 beams of divine light appeared in Dragon God Plaza. The Dragon God statue's eyes released a dazzling light. Jiang He, who stood on the dragon claw, received the Dragon God's gaze, carrying the entire divine dragon empire's luck. His body exuded an overwhelming dragon might. Auspicious signs visible to the naked eye spread out from his body. Mu Zifeng frowned slightly and said somewhat unhappily, "Shao Qin, why did you give up on the Dragon Emperor position? If you did not, then you, Shao Qin, would be the one carrying the entire divine Dragon Empire's luck." "That's right. However, in that case, the path I take will be the same as what Dragon Emperor Shaoyin laid 50,000 years ago. The karma between me and the blue dragon race will never be resolved. The epic that I started is actually Dragon Emperor Shao Yun's unfulfilled wish. It looks perfect, but in reality it is just a pawn." Shao Chen's heart was as clear as a mirror. After learning the truth from the dragon spirit, he had a plan. What's wrong with that? Even if you are a pawn, you are a pawn in control of your own fate. You can also bring the blue dragon race supreme glory. My heavenly alliance can continue to be glorious for another epoch. Mu Zifeng remained angry, not understanding Shao Chen's thoughts. Just because you are willing to be a pawn does not mean that I am willing. Furthermore, do you know what the consequences are? Be it the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor back then, the later Dragon Emperor Shaoyin, or the Kunlun Realm's Qing Emperor, they were all unparalleled peak experts. They were all insufferably arrogant, peerless powerhouses of their era. Shao Chen's expression did not change as he continued. However, do you know what the consequences are? It will lead to the destruction of the blue dragon race. Be it in the Great Thousand Realms or the Kunlun Realm, it will lead to the destruction of the blue dragon race. Countless people will have their families destroyed and die a violent death, all because of the blue dragon bloodline. This is because there are no undefeatable experts, no indestructible dynasties, and no immortal beauties in this world. If I become the Dragon Emperor and start the divine dragon epoch, the dragon race will become incredibly strong, ruling the entire Great Thousand Realms. However, when the epoch ends, it will be like the current martial epoch's holy lord, miserable and desolate, deserted by everyone, perhaps even worse. Such a divine dragon epoch is not what I want. In the end, it will just be repeating the same mistakes. Mu Zifeng sensed something unusual. Then he looked at Shao Chen and asked, "What are you trying to do?" "I want to end the epoch." Shao Chen enunciated every word incredibly calmly. The moment Shao Chen said that, the expressions of everyone in the surroundings changed drastically. Ending the epoch? Such lofty aspirations and boldness were something they had never thought of before. It was not that they could not think of it. They did not dare to think of it. I support Big Brother Shao Chen. It is time for the epoch to come to an end. It is an endless cycle of destruction and reincarnation. Too many innocent people die during the birth of every epoch. Ao Jiao stepped forward and expressed her position, decisively supporting Shao Chen. The others remained silent. However, their gazes on Shao Chen clearly changed. Aside from shock, there was also admiration in their complicated expressions. Have you ever thought about the consequences of failure? Mu Zifeng felt shocked in his heart. He felt an indescribable weakness when facing Shao Chen. The other party's boldness, breadth of mind, and strength completely suppressed him. "Shao Chen, the small fry is preparing to leave." The blind old man's voice projection rang out in Shao Chen's mind. Then he looked at Mu Zifeng and said, "Let's not discuss this for now. I have some things to deal with. Lord Mu, don't worry. No matter what I do, I will definitely protect the Heavenly Alliance in the future. However, I might not obtain the overlord position that you imagine." Without giving Mu Zifeng a chance to speak, Shao Chen soared into the air and landed on a tall building. Then he shouted softly, "You are already here. Are you still going to leave?" Shao Chen's voice was not loud, but it rang out clearly in everyone's ears. The sound waves contained Shao Chen's soul energy. As his voice spread out, it locked onto the people Shao Chen was looking for. "Still not showing yourselves?" Shao Qin threw a palm strike at the sky. Then, 3 bolts of electric light descended from the sky without any warning. Electric light immediately encased Shi, Yuanzhen, and Wenrinyu. They could not hide from the surrounding crowd. Whoosh! 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 The surrounding dragon race disciples quickly moved, pulling away from the 3. In the blink of an eye, the surroundings of Dragon God Plaza emptied out, leaving only the 3. When she saw that the Shadow Dragon Sovereign already controlled the situation in Ancestor Dragon City, the Divine Dragon Empire, which should have been a helper, ended up helping Shao Qin instead. Furthermore, the Heavenly Alliance's faux god experts blocked the Bushin Palace's faux god experts. Shao Qin already considered retreating. Qin Ming's death and the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's defeat caused the earlier trap to lose an important link. This caused the situation to flip. Shao Qin's original plan of catching a turtle in a jar and suppressing Shao Qin with its momentum reversed. Fortunately, for some reason, Shao Qin actually gave the Dragon Emperor position to Jiang He. This made Shi, Yuanzhen, and Wenrinyu, who originally despaired, rejoice. After some discussion, they unanimously decided to leave immediately. After losing the Dragon Emperor position, Shao Qin's luck would inevitably suffer. In the future, they would definitely find a better opportunity to kill Shao Qin, not giving him a chance to turn things around. However, the crowd had not expected that Shao Qin, who had just thought of retreating, would pull it out before everyone's eyes. She looked at Shao Qin and said coldly, "Shao Qin, what are you trying to do? Do you think that you can kill us after finding us?" Shao Qin knew that the 3 of them definitely had faux gods protecting them in the dark. If they wanted to leave, there was no way for them to stay. Wenrinyu and Yuanzhen did not say anything, either. They just looked at Shao Qin with hostile expressions. "I'm not trying to kill you. I'm giving you a chance." "What chance?" "I'm giving you a chance to kill me. You cast aside your prejudices and scheme to work together to kill me. Now that I am here, why are you leaving?" Yuanzhen looked around. Then he looked at the blind old man standing beside the Heaven Dragon. Then he looked at the older generation experts in Ancestor Dragon City. Yuanzhen said sullenly, "You want to fight the 3 of us alone? I guarantee that the older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City, the Heaven Dragon, the Shadow Dragon Sovereign, and the Heavenly Alliance's experts will not help you." Shao Qin smiled faintly and said, "That's right. I believe this is your plan from the start, right? You want the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor to sit back and do nothing, allowing the 3 of you to work together to stop me from arriving at the Dragon God Plaza and then wait for an opportunity to kill me? I'll give you a chance to work together to kill me now. I guarantee that no one will help you." She's thoughts raced. Shao Qin wants to settle this once and for all, defeating the epic masters of the 3 super factions. However, where does Shao Qin get his confidence to face the 3 of them alone? If Shao Qin became the Dragon Emperor and inherited the entire Divine Dragon Empire's luck, he might be able to fight against the 3 of them alone. Could there be a trap? However, if the 3 of them did not even dare to accept such a challenge, it would deal a severe blow to their confidence. In the future, when they faced Shao Qin, they would be at a disadvantage before the fight even started. Chapter 2359. Just as Shi, Wenrinyu, and Yuanzhen considered retreating, Shao Qin suddenly stepped forward. Shao Qin gave the 3 a chance to work together and fight him. Before coming, the 3 had already made arrangements to facilitate this opportunity with the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Unexpectedly, the situation of the fight to become the Dragon Emperor changed in an instant. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, who was supposed to support them, fell, and the Shadow Dragon Sovereign took over the Divine Dragon Empire, forcing the 3 to leave. However, Shao Qin suddenly returned this opportunity to them. Shao Qin swear that none of the dragon race older generation experts here, including the Shadow Dragon Sovereign and the Heaven Dragon, will make a move. The 3 of us will fight you. A crafty look flashed in Xi's eyes as he looked at Xiao Qin. Originally, Xiao Qin was the one giving them a chance. However, she made it sound like Xiao Chen was begging them. Xiao Chen said softly, "I swear on Xiao Chen's name that this fight will be between the four of us. If I break this oath, I, Xiao Chen, will die a horrible death, falling to my heart demon forever." Good. She laughed loudly after hearing that. Then he said, "Xiao Qin, do you really think that you can kill the three of us in one go? I'll give you that chance now." At the same time, she looked at Wen Renyu and Yuan Zhen. "What do the two of you think? I have no objections. If we still lose, even when fighting 3 against 1, there is no need to fight with him for the Epic Sun title." Wen Renyu looked rather carefree. If they lost even when fighting 3 against 1, they would not have the face to continue fighting. "As I have heard, I swear not to become a Buddha until hell is empty." Yuan Zhen chanted scriptures endlessly. He pressed his palms together, and Buddhist light continuously erupted from his body. Xi and Wen Renyu exchanged looks. They knew that Yuan Zhen was summoning the Buddhist nation, waiting for the Buddhist nation to descend. Yuan Zhen's combat prowess would soar wildly, reaching the level of a faux god or even surpassing that of a faux god. What the two needed to do now was delay Xiao Qin and buy time for Yuan Zhen. She waved his hand, and the scarlet dragon image on the sage cloak moved. After a while, a scarlet dragon roared out. A bloody flame burned in his demonic eye of fear, burning out of his eye sockets and lingering under his brows. Boom! A horrifying demonic might instantly swept through the entire ancestor dragon city. Black, demonic clouds roared in the sky like a sea. "Forbidden art, devour all life," she shouted, and a horrifying devouring force burst forth from his left eye. It gathered at one point and surged toward Xiao Qin. In an instant, wherever his gaze passed, space and time seemed to distort under the suction of the devouring power. The distorted space wriggled like a snake. How fast was the speed of sight? With just a glance, one would be hit. Xiao Chen's body was immediately entangled by this devouring power. This was the devouring power that came from the demon eye. Like a spider web, she did not care about exhausting himself as he wrapped around Xiao Qin layer by layer. Within a breath's time, thousands of layers of devouring power entangled Xiao Qin, dragging him towards Xi's demonic eye. Even a faux god would find it hard to break free if caught by the devouring demonic eye. Xi's demonic eye's demonic eye had already been incredibly horrifying long ago. Now that his strength had improved significantly, this demonic eye was even more terrifying. Even Xiao Qin found it hard to struggle free. Die. Wen Renyu revealed a sinister smile as a holy mirror appeared in his hand. This was the supreme treasure of the profound heaven holy land, the profound heaven mirror. This supreme treasure had been passed down for countless epochs. During the martial epoch, it once had the legendary feat of killing a faux god. The instant the mirror enveloped Xiao Qin, he felt a dangerous aura encircling him. His heart skipped a beat. No way. I absolutely cannot let it hit me. If I drive this profound heaven mirror at full power, the consequences will be dire. Indeed, this group of people came prepared. They had great teamwork and made thorough preparations. No wonder they all revealed crafty smiles after I swore. However, now that she drove the devouring demonic eye at full power, Xiao Qin estimated that even a faux god would find it hard to struggle free quickly. If Xiao Qin could not break this devouring power quickly, the profound heaven mirror would definitely strike him. The situation immediately turned extremely dangerous. No one had expected this. The moment they started fighting, Xiao Qin fell into such a desperate situation, catching everyone off guard. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Qin quickly made a decision. He stopped resisting and allowed Xi's devouring demonic eye to pull him over. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Xi's demonic eye swallowed up Xiao Qin, and the profound light from the mirror mist. How can it be like this? Wenren Yu paled, his eyes bloodshot as he panted continuously. That earlier strike nearly drained all his soul energy and divine energy, bringing out the might of the superior grade soul treasure in his hand to its limits. Even a peak foe god would be severely injured or even killed in one hit. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chun gave up resisting and allowed she to swallow him up, perfectly dodging the attack. Although Wenren Yu felt dissatisfied, she showed joy on his face. He laughed maniacally. Ha ha ha! Xiao Qin, you are seeking death. My demonic eye is an inheritance of the ancient god-demon. Even if a foe god enters, only death awaits them. Watch as I use the power of the god-demon. Bang! Before Wenren Yu could finish speaking, a saber light flashed, and his head instantly exploded. Amid the scarlet light, Xiao Chun reappeared with Heavenly Slayer in hand. Then, Xiao Chun tore off the blood dragon cloak from Wenren Yu's body, not continuing to kill him. Then, he looked at Yuan Zhen, who was summoning the Buddhist nation. The vague form of the Buddhist nation appeared. Yuan Zhen revealed a confident expression, showing no fear. Xiao Chun recalled his experience in the Yanwu dynasty. He knew that the Buddhist nation was like the god-demon's nation, hard to break. Right now, the vague form of the Buddhist nation appeared. Regular killing moves would find it hard to break it. Go over. As the power of cycles circulated, Xiao Qin shouted and took a ferocious step forward. With this step, it felt like the entire Great Thousand Realms blocked him, preventing him from advancing at all. He faced unprecedented resistance. Kassier. However, Yuan Zhen managed to take this step in the end. With one step, he traveled to the future. As I have heard, hell is not empty. In the past, Yuan Zhen had just pressed his palms together and chanted 2 lines of scripture. The Buddhist nation had not even appeared. Horror flashed in Yuan Zhen's eyes when he faced Xiao Qin, who suddenly appeared out of nowhere, catching him off guard. Pooh! Xiao Qin mercilessly stabbed the flawless saber intent, which surpassed fortuitous encounters, into Yuan Zhen's forehead. Now, time and space returned to the present. The vague form of the Buddhist nation shattered, and a figure appeared before Yuan Zhen. The slender saber blade stabbed into Yuan Zhen's forehead. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's remnant soul in Yuan Zhen's soul pool let out a sharp, miserable shriek. Yuan Zhen! This startled Wenren Yu. He turned around and raised the profound heaven mirror, preparing to overdraw on his life force to strike Xiao Qin. The future! Xiao Qin shouted. Then light and shadow flashed, appearing in the future behind Wenren Yu. Then, he chopped Wenren Yu in half with his peak saber strike. Past, present, future. Flowers bloom with a thought. The dragon race experts below were flabbergasted as they watched, sighing in amazement. The dragon race experts saw 3 blue lotus flowers bloom, and a figure stood on them. The instant the flowers bloomed, Xi's head exploded. The saber pierced Yuan Zhen's forehead, and when Rinyu was chopped in half, the instant the flowers bloomed, they illuminated 3 lives. 3 figures layered over each other. One Rinyu, Xi and Yuan Zhen were instantly defeated. Xiao Chen's originally dangerous situation instantly reversed. Blood continuously squirmed around Xi's neck as he lay on the ground. Soon, a new head grew out. Xi's eyes looked like those of a normal person. However, he appeared fatigued and incredibly weak, finding even moving incredibly difficult. Xiao Chun did not destroy Xi's divine seal. On account of Xi being Dragon Emperor Xiaoyan's pawn, he spared Xi's life. However, with Xi's demonic eye destroyed, his strength plummeted. He lost his sharpness and could no longer compete with Xiao Qin. As for Wen Rinyu, he was not as fortunate. Xiao Chen's peak saber strike destroyed both his physical body and divine seal. The 3 figures layered over each other. Shao Chen held Heavenly Slayer as he stood in front of Yuanzhen. Shao Chen maintained the posture of half the saber-piercing Yuanzhen's forehead. As for Yuanzhen, Shao Chen only wanted to cut off the karma between him and the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva. He did not kill Yuanzhen until the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's remnant soul in Yuanzhen's soul pool was destroyed. As blood spurted out, Shao Chen pulled out his saber and sheathed Heavenly Slayer. Yuanzhen's eyes slowly regained clarity. Then he wobbled like a broken kite and fell to the ground. In the distant Yenwu dynasty, the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's Buddha statues in the thousands of temples Yuanzhen built crumbled. The auspicious signs in the Buddhist nation on the ground scattered. The ordinary people living there appeared dazed as if they just woke up from a dream. One thought to live, one thought to die. Shao Chen chose to take the risk of fighting the three. If he had not dodged the profound heaven mirror strike, he would have been the one to die. If he had dodged, the other party would have been the one to die. This extremely dangerous gamble also brought a huge harvest, dealing with the three hidden dangers once and for all. From then on, no other faction's epic masters could compete with Shao Chen. Dressed in white, Shao Chen looked boundlessly elegant, making all the cultivators in Ancestor Dragon City admire him. Even the many faux gods of the Heavenly Alliance and the Bushin Palace felt somewhat horrified, ashamed of their inferiority. They had to admit that Shao Chen was now the strongest person in the world. Now that he grasped the cycle great Tao, no one could defeat him head-on. I have 2 supreme treasures to give to 2 seniors. I will leave the Divine Dragon Empire to you. In the future, please take care of my Kunlun Realm's Blue Dragon bloodline. Shao Chen arrived before the Shadow Dragon Sovereign and the Heaven Dragon Jiangtian. Then he handed the Emperor Dragon's sword that he obtained from Qin Ming to Jiangtian. Then he solemnly handed the royal genealogical record that he obtained from the Blue Dragon's treasure trove to the Shadow Dragon Sovereign. The blind old man was loyal to Shao Chen in the first place. Now that he obtained the royal genealogical record, he would definitely take care of the Blue Dragon bloodline. Given that, the Blue Dragon would definitely have a foothold in the Divine Dragon Empire in the future. Seniors of Ancestor Dragon City, does anyone have any objections to Jiang, he becoming the new Dragon Emperor of my Divine Dragon Empire as the Heaven Dragon's descendant? Given Jiang his qualifications, many people would be unconvinced if he wanted to suppress these dragon race older generation experts. This was especially so for the Silver Dragon bloodlines and the Golden Dragon bloodlines. However, after seeing Shao Chen's strength, practically no one dared to look him in the eye when he spoke. As far as the eye could see, no one dared to say anything. Congratulations on the birth of the Dragon Emperor, Jiang He, Shao Chen shouted. Then he suddenly took out the Emperor Dragon throne, the supreme treasure of the dragon race that had been passed down for countless epochs. Immediately, a vast and pure Emperor Dragon's might spread out, causing the many dragon race disciples to tremble. Under the pressure of this Emperor Dragon's dragon might, the many dragon race disciples fell to their knees. Jiang, he gave Shao Chen a deep look as he stood on the dragon god statue. After some hesitation, he sat on the throne. At this moment, as everyone cheered for the birth of a new dragon emperor, in an inconspicuous pavilion in Ancestor Dragon City, Yan Songming revealed a cold smile as he watched Jiang he sit on the Emperor Dragon throne with a cold expression. A crystal ball in Yan Songming's left palm projected the earlier scene into the distance. In the distant soaring dragon great realm, where the Black Dragon King was sealed, Zhen Yuan looked through the crystal ball and saw the scene that Yan Songming sent over. To think that his cycle great Tao is so strong. However, he already revealed his trump card. He can forget about reversing time and space before me. Crack! Zhen Yuan's eyes suddenly turned pitch black as he crushed the crystal ball. Then he muttered to himself, "It is time for the martial epic to end." Blood stained the surroundings of the sealed land. 10 odd faux god corpses lay cold on the ground. These were the faux gods who felt dissatisfied and wanted to stop the Black Dragon King from returning to reality and ending the martial epoch. However, all their efforts were futile. They all died at Zhen Yuan's hands. These faux gods did not know that the Black Dragon King would not end the martial epoch. Instead, the martial epoch's luck was about to run out, giving the Black Dragon King the opportunity to destroy it. Right now, all the luck of the martial epoch was in the Black Dragon King's seal. When the Black Dragon King broke the seal, he would run out of luck and the end would arrive. Whoosh! The Black Dragon King's veritable essence, energy, physical body turned into a clump of black shadow, a clump of pure, demonic thought. Then it instantly entered the seal amid a flash of black light. In the next moment, cracks appeared in the ground, and the entire soaring dragon great realm trembled endlessly. A pitch-black, demonic claw broke out of the ground. The claw ferociously clenched, seeming to crush something. In the divine Dragon Empire's ancestor dragon city in the central great realm, Jiang, he had just sat down on the Emperor Dragon throne. The god-killing sword in the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's hand buzzed endlessly as it gave off a dense black light, trying to struggle free of the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's hand. Whoosh! The Shadow Dragon Sovereign's expression changed dramatically. The god-killing sword struggled free of the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's hand with irresistible force. Then it turned into a beam of black light and shot into the sky. He is coming out. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign's body trembled slightly, appearing somewhat fearful. As Xiao Chen watched the distant beam of black light, he showed a complicated expression. After a long time, he sighed, "The martial epoch is over." Chapter 2360. Suddenly, the god-killing sword struggled free of the blind old man's hand and turned into a beam of light, flying far away. Xiao Chen and the blind old man felt startled. They knew that the Black Dragon King was coming out. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor used the martial epoch's luck to seal the Black Dragon King. If the Black Dragon King broke the seal, it would mean that the martial epoch's luck had reached its end. When the Black Dragon King completely came out, the martial epoch would begin to end. Although the faux gods present did not recognize the god-killing sword, they were bound to the martial epoch. They already sensed that something was wrong. Horror appeared in their hearts, acutely sensing that the world was about to change. Needless to say, the faux gods of the Heavenly Alliance and the Bushin Palace all knew what was going to happen. This day would come sooner or later. Many faux gods could not sleep at night, living in fear. They feared that the apocalypse would arrive, forcing them to fall. However, when this day truly arrived, most of them discovered that they were not as afraid as they imagined. Compared to the fear and horror of day and night, this was a form of release. Whoosh! Suddenly, a resplendent light burst forth in the sky northeast of the divine Dragon Empire. In the next moment, scarlet light rained down like a meteor shower. Mu Zifeng looked up, and his expression immediately changed drastically. Then he looked at Swearen Ji and Hua Tianyang, who were beside him. Swearen Ji and Hua Tianyang did not say anything, only silently nodding. "Zifeng, I'll leave the Heavenly Alliance to you in the future," Hua Tianyang said softly as he looked at Mu Zifeng with a smile. Hua Tianyang said softly as he looked at Mu Zifeng with a smile on his face. Mu Zifeng's expression changed dramatically as he grabbed Hua Tianyang. However, right after Mu Zifeng grabbed Hua Tianyang's hand, Hua Tianyang's physical body shattered, turning into ashes. Hua Tianyang's body shattered, turning into ashes. A beam of divine light soared into the sky. The resplendent light illuminated all of Ancestor Dragon City, so dazzling that no one could open their eyes. In the next moment, the light vanished, turning into a scarlet meteor that bloomed like fireworks. This sudden scene shocked the surrounding cultivators in Dragon God Plaza. How could a faux god die just like that? No. Although Mu Zifeng knew that this day would come sooner or later, he still could not accept seeing Hua Tianyang fall before him. Swearenji sighed softly. The old alliance chief was injured in the first place. He definitely wouldn't be able to last long in this great change. But I won't be able to hold on for long. The faux god flame in Swearenji's soul pool was like a fallen leaf drifting in the wind and rain. Swaying, the light dimmed bit by bit. Mu Zifeng turned his head to look. At this moment, Swearenji's face showed unprecedented signs of aging. "Where are you going?" Mu Zifeng asked softly when he noticed Swearenji's intention to leave. "Let's go back to the sect in the netherworld. Even if we're going to die, we should die where we want to die. I'll leave my family in the Heavenly Alliance to you. After fighting with you for half my life, I really did not expect such an outcome." Swearenji laughed at himself, turned around, waved his hand, and left alone. Be it the Heavenly Alliances or the Bushin Palace's faux gods, they all sensed the great changes in the world. He noticed that his faux god flame could no longer absorb divine energy from the world. Some of the world's laws had already been broken, unable to support the burning of the divine flame. Some people bawled, tears flowing down their cheeks endlessly. Some people felt dissatisfied, frantically consuming powerful divine herbs and searching for a place where the divine flame could continue burning. However, most of the Heavenly Alliances and Bushin Palaces' faux gods remained calm, like Swearenji. Before they died, they went to an old haunt in their hearts and waited for the divine flame to extinguish. In the past, these faux gods could summon the wind and rain, pluck the stars, and grab the moon. They could crush countless sovereign emperors with a wave of their hands. At this moment, these faux gods showed unprecedented humbleness, inspiring sorrow in others. Xiao Chen looked at these departing faux gods, at their faces of despair, calm, or despair. Suddenly, Xiao Chen recalled that many years ago, when the Immortal Epic was destroyed, those helpless immortals were probably like this as well. After he comes out, he will definitely come to you first. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign said as he looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "I know. I'll leave my friends in Senior's care for now. Don't worry. I will do my best to protect them." Xiao Chen sighed in his heart. Then he went over and said goodbye to Lu Ruyue and Ao Jiao. Then he instructed the two to remain in the Divine Dragon Empire and not to leave Ancestor Dragon City. "Xiao Chen, I do not blame you for not becoming the Dragon Emperor. However, you have to destroy the Black Dragon King." Mu Zifeng enunciated every word as he looked at Xiao Chen, a heavy murderous intent gathering on his face. Xiao Chen looked at Mu Zifeng. Then he looked at the worried Lu Ruyue and Ao Jiao. Then he looked at Jiang He. These were all familiar faces. If Xiao Chen could not defeat the Black Dragon King, these old friends of his, these beautiful memories of his life, would all be destroyed by the Black Dragon King, utterly destroyed. They would all be destroyed by the Black Dragon King, completely and utterly destroyed. After saying that, Xiao Chen turned and left. After saying that, Xiao Chen turned and left. After he walked out of the city gates, he looked back. Scarlet meteors already filled the entire sky of the Divine Dragon Empire. That was the blood of faux gods, turning into countless tiny specks of dust. Then, the world's most beautiful flowers bloomed in the dust, creating a tragic scene in this doomsday. "You are going to the desolate sea, right?" The clear-eyed, she jumped down from the city walls. Then he covered his mouth with his right hand and coughed heavily. The desolate sea had two powerful formations, the heavenly Tao killing formation and the great desolate blood dragon formation materialized with the wings of time as the formation core. Back then, Dragon Emperor Xiaoyun had poured his life's effort into preparing these formations for the Black Dragon King. The formations could only be activated by combining the Heavenly Slayer Saber and the Blood Dragon Cloak. Although you obtain the Blood Dragon Cloak and the Heavenly Slayer Saber, you can only activate the Heavenly Tao Killing Formation. If you want to activate the great, desolate blood dragon formation, you have to kill me." As she looked at Shao Qin, his stern face did not reveal much. However, Xi's right hand, which was clenched into a fist, trembled endlessly, revealing the struggle in his heart. She had hesitated for a long time before appearing before Shao Qin and saying this. She did not want to die. Everyone feared death, and she was no exception. However, she was now seeking death from Shao Qin. At this moment, the insufferably arrogant and terrifying Lord Xi, who once inspired fear in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, appeared incredibly weak. Shao Qin replied softly, "I know. The old dragon horse once said that Dragon Emperor Shao Yan's plan would allow only one of them to survive. According to Dragon Emperor Shao Yan's plan, Shao Qian would become the Dragon Emperor, and she would become the Demon Monarch. Then the two would fight, and the victor would receive all his inheritance." From that moment on, Shao Qian had new thoughts about becoming the Dragon Emperor. Did Shao Qian want to become the Dragon Emperor himself? Or did a dead person from tens of thousands of years ago want him to become the Dragon Emperor? The answer was the latter. Shao Qian had no desire for power or status. He was naturally free. For a long time, Shao Qian had felt a sense of duty, passively wanting to become the Dragon Emperor. This was what it meant by having no choice. Shock filled Xi's face. He asked somewhat incoherently, "Then why did you leave me alive? Did you kill my friends? Do we have an old grudge? Did you cross my bottom line? If not, why would I kill you? If not, why would I kill you?" It was just a simple sentence, but it stirred up huge waves in Xi's heart. His entire worldview was toppled. However, can you kill the Black Dragon King with just the Heavenly Tao killing formation? Anxiety filled Xi's eyes, urgently wanting to know Shao Qian's answer. "If I don't try, who knows? I can't possibly kill someone I don't want to kill just because of this. My heart will not forgive me." Outside Ancestor Dragon City, blood rain fell from the dark sky on the desolate land. As the blood rain fell like meteors, Shao Qian revealed a faint smile. He said softly, "You escaped Dragon Emperor Shao Yan's karma and can live for yourself. Why seek death? Bless me. I will definitely kill the Black Dragon King. I believe in my own choice." With this smile, she suddenly understood why Shao Qian could fight 1 against 3 and why he was inferior to him. This was because, from the very start, Shao Qian had a pure heart. Even though he ruled the world now, dominating the past and present, his original heart remained, never changing. Cloud Water Marsh, a spring every 10 steps and a river every 50 kilometers. The hazy mist lingered for tens of thousands of years. After putting on the blood-clad sage robes, Shao Qian passed through the mist and arrived at the desolate sea. Then he sat on a rock and hugged Heavenly Slayer, resting with his eyes closed. After some time, the mournful cries in the world grew louder. Then Shao Qian opened his eyes. A scarlet light illuminated the sky of the entire central Great Realm. Thousands of meteors turned into a boundless blood rain. Shao Qian stretched out his hand and let a drop of blood rain land on his palm. Shao Qian squinted and sent in his soul energy. Scenes unfolded before his eyes. These were the remnant memories of a certain faux god, the imprint that a legend once left in the world. However, they now turned into a sorrowful blood rain, sinking into the soil. Boom! A beam of black light fell together with the blood rain. When it landed, the black light coalesced into a human figure. This person was tall and wore heavy black dragon armor. His fingertips were covered in sharp metal armor. This person looked like the claws of a wild beast, holding a pitch-black sword that gave off a faint, dark light. Veritable essence energy could be vaguely seen on the face under the helmet. Without a doubt, this person was the Black Dragon King. "You've been waiting for me for a long time, right?" The Black Dragon King looked at Shao Qian and smiled. However, his smile was extremely horrifying, making one tremble in fear. I have been wanting to kill you for a long time. The instant the flower bloomed, it illuminated 3 lifetimes. Shao Chen drew Heavenly Slayer and executed the 3-life flower at lightning speed, wanting to cross space and time to kill the Black Dragon King. However, when Shao Chen was about to take that step, he was somewhat surprised to discover that he could not break the space-time barrier in front of the Black Dragon King. Unable to advance or retreat, the god-killing sword in the Black Dragon King's hand stabbed at Shao Chen's chest, carrying a heavy state of ruin. Dang! The saber scabbard held horizontally in front of Shao Chen's chest. This sword strike knocked him back. The state of ruin lingered in his ears, and a deep dragon roar echoed endlessly. I've already seen your trump card in the Dragon God Plaza. As long as I keep my guard up, it will not be that easy for you to break the space-time barrier before me. The Black Dragon King revealed a disdainful smile as he said softly, Actually, I can attack you the instant you break the space-time barrier. I can let the space-time tear you apart. However, that would be pointless. There is no point in boasting. Flawless saber Dao, endless cycle. Shao Chen gave up on instantly killing the other party. Then he shouted coldly and pressed forward while holding Heavenly Slayer. He used the cycle great, Dao, to materialize his own flawless saber intent. Then he connected it with the Heavenly Dao's killing intent contained in Heavenly Slayer and unleashed a vast and boundless saber move. Excitement flickered in the Black Dragon King's eyes as he said softly, Cycle, Great Dao. I have yet to taste what it feels like to destroy the Cycle Great Dao. Ha ha ha! The Black Dragon King laughed maniacally as he drew his sword. The two started a startling battle in the desolate sea. Shao Chen's supreme saber Dao, which surpassed the epic, became incredibly sharp with the support of the power of cycle. Saber lights filled the sky. As they flickered, the sky alternated between black and white. Every saber strike contained the might to easily shatter stars. The continuous saber moves connected with the power of cycle. The saber lights turned into an ancient blue dragon that circled the world and roared ferociously under the guidance of the saber lights. The Black Dragon King fought strength with strength. Be it the cycle great Dao's power of life or power of death, they all shattered. When the will of destruction touched him, it was completely destroyed. The will of destruction lingered in this world. It was like the will of heaven, unquestionable. It was like fighting against the Heavenly Dao. Shao Chen brought out everything he had, bringing out his saber Dao to an unprecedented level. The dragon armor on the Black Dragon King's body was already riddled with holes from Shao Chen's attacks. However, the originally fatal killing move penetrated the dragon armor and struck the Black Dragon King's body. This person seemed to be blessed by heaven, like the incarnation of the Heavenly Dao, possessing boundless life force. I am the incarnation of destruction, born from a calamity. I represent the Heavenly Dao. The Heavenly Dao's killing intent contained in the saber in your hand cannot injure me. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor could not kill me. What more you? The Black Dragon King mocked softly as he looked at the pale, blood-stained Shao Chen, who appeared to be in a sorry state. The other party's trump card was the Cycle Great Dao, tearing space and time. Aside from this killing move, which was somewhat strange and needed to be wary of, the Black Dragon King did not fear any of Shao Chen's killing moves. Even with the Cycle Great Dao's flawless saber intent supporting it, the Black Dragon King did not fear it. Shao Chen revealed a smile on his pale face. He said softly, Have you never thought that there was no reason for me to force you here despite being covered in wounds? The Black Dragon King's expression changed slightly. When he looked up, he saw a blood moon hanging in the sky. Moonlight poured out, encasing the Black Dragon King. Shao Chen tightly grasped Heavenly Slayer and pointed it at the sky, activating the Heavenly Dao killing formation. Immediately, the heavenly Tao's killing intent that had existed since the birth of the martial epic poured endlessly into the saber. The heavenly Tao's killing intent came from all over the desolate sea and gathered on Heavenly Slayer. A dense scarlet light spread out. The terrifying killing intent made boundless blood like snowflakes fall from the sky. Wings of Time, Heavenly Tao, killing formation. When the Black Dragon King saw the Heavenly Tao's killing intent in Heavenly Slayer continuously strengthen, some fear finally appeared in his heart. No killing move in the world could truly kill the Black Dragon King. The Black Dragon King was the incarnation of the Heavenly Tao. Only heaven could subdue him. When the Heavenly Tao's killing intent reached a certain level, it could truly kill the Black Dragon King. You want to kill me with just this formation? You are too naive. The Black Dragon King withdrew his smile and slowly turned grave. The source of destruction in his body surged wildly. What if I join in? However, just at this moment, the Black Dragon King recalled a discordant voice. He turned his head in the direction of the voice. Whoosh! The Black Dragon King's eyes immediately got pierced. He saw a blazing sun, an extraordinarily huge sun, hovering in the air. The blazing primal chaos sun blazed fiercely in the sky above a figure. That figure's appearance could not be clearly seen under the piercing light. Only the smile on that figure's face could be seen. It was like the morning sun, resplendent with the sun and colorful clouds filling the sky. Chapter 2361. Chu Chaoyan. This startled Xiao Chen. Unexpectedly, when he needed help the most, Chu Chaoyan would step forward at this moment. What shocked Xiao Chen even more was the smile on Chu Chaoyan's face. Back in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, Chu Chaoyan had been extremely gloomy and uneasy. He had not smiled like this in a long time already. Don't just stand there. Kill this black loach first. Chu Chaoyan shouted at the dazed Xiao Chen as the blazing sun hung high in the sky. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and replied, Got it. The sun and moon shone together in the boundless, desolate sea. A blood moon materialized by the wings of time and a blazing sun materialized by the universe. Origin true flames, origin flame, materialized a miraculous scene that the desolate sea had never seen before. The two cooperated with each other. Chu Chaoyan used the universe origin true flames, origin flames, origin flame to materialize thousands of killing moves, continuously harassing the Black Dragon King. The blazing sun above was the heavenly flames, origin flame that the Holy Lord had collected since the start of the martial epic. Xiao Chen had accumulated it for an entire epic for this day. Even though the Black Dragon King had tough skin and startling defense, it still burned the Black Dragon King's origin flame. The Black Dragon King roared endlessly. The Black Dragon King's origin flame, which merged with the heavenly Tao, materialized boundless attacks that continuously charged at Chu Chaoyan. Little bastard, I'll kill you. However, Chu Chaoyan possessed the primal chaos great Tao. As his figure flickered, space and time rippled. Even the Black Dragon King could not pinpoint Xiao Chen's position. The Black Dragon King's horrifying attacks looked incredibly horrifying. Even the shock waves could severely injure Chu Chaoyan. However, the Black Dragon King could not injure Chu Chaoyan. Instead, he ended up playing with him. Rage filled the Black Dragon King's heart, causing openings to appear. Xiao Chen seized the opportunity. Xiao Chen used Heavenly Slayer to drive the Heavenly Tao killing formation. The vast ocean-like Heavenly Tao killing intent materialized all sorts of killing moves. Xiao Chen's flawless saber Tao, which surpassed the epic, could easily suppress the Black Dragon King in the first place. However, the other party had the Heavenly Tao's protection. It was born in response to tribulation to begin with, the embodiment of the Heavenly Tao that destroyed an era. Its vitality was practically boundless, and it was impossible to kill it at all. But now, With this heavenly Tao killing intent that was as dense as the sea, he could borrow the power of the heavenly Tao to launch an attack, and the situation was completely different. Although the universe origin true flame burned the Black Dragon King in unbearable pain, even burning his soul, the Black Dragon King was in great pain. However, it was not fatal. On the other hand, Shao Chen's attack, which was infused with the Heaven's Path's killing intent, was a completely different story. It could directly touch his origin of destruction. The clouds rolled in and out, the sun rose and the moon set. The cold blood moon and the blazing sun rose and fell in the desolate sea sky, perfectly displaying the sun and the moon shining together. This was an unprecedented, mysterious phenomenon. The originally hopeless situation of the battle was reversed in an instant. Blood spurted out. Saber lights pierced through the Black Dragon King's body, continuously draining his life force. The Black Dragon King's expression turned sullen. He, who had been roaring furiously, fell silent. Shao Qin and Chu Chaoyan exchanged glances. They immediately understood that the Black Dragon King was preparing to make a desperate counterattack. Since they already knew, they naturally would not give him a chance. Everlasting primal chaos, ancient one sword. Mahamaya abstinence violation, kill without mercy. Chu Chaoyan roared, and the primal chaos, great Tao, spread out from his body. His physical body immediately became like a black hole. Primal chaos spread out like the beginning of the primordial chaos, when the world had yet to be divided and the sun and moon did not exist. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sword light shot out from that primal chaos, turning into an azure beam of light. This sword split the world, projected the sun and moon, immortal for all time. Shao Chen drove the heavenly Tao killing formation and gathered the boundless heavenly Tao's killing intent in his body. The saber hum in Shao Chen's body did not stop, and a terrifying crack tore open in the sky. There seemed to be an ice slowly opening in the crack. If heaven had feelings, it would grow old. Since ancient times, the heavenly Tao was the most emotionless. If heaven wanted someone to die, they had no choice but to die. Kill without mercy. The two worked together seamlessly. Observing the Black Dragon King's expression, they took the initiative and executed their killing moves at the same time. Boom! A sword light and a saber light pierced through the Black Dragon King at the same time. A sorrowful dragon roar came from the Black Dragon King's body, reverberating in the surroundings. Pusiai! The Black Dragon King's facial features twisted as he vomited a mouthful of black blood. His life force drained continuously. Bang! The saber light and the sword light rampaged around the Black Dragon King's body without any fear. Then they merged and exploded. In that instant, the insufferably arrogant Black Dragon King's physical body exploded. The sun and moon shone together in the desolate sea. Shao Qin and Chu Chaoyan showed fatigued expressions as they slowly approached. "Is he dead?" Shao Chen asked doubtfully. He did not believe that the Black Dragon King died just like that. Chu Chaoyan's eyes were like lightning, piercing through the starry heavens. Then he saw a flash of black light vanish from his vision. This blazing sun should be the trump card that the Holy Lord left behind, Shao Chen said. Shao Chen looked at the sky, at the blazing sun that shone as brightly as the moon. Then he looked at Chu Chaoyan. Shao Chen had thought countless times that the blood moon was the trump card that Shao Yun materialized with the wings of time. In that case, whose trump card was the blazing sun in the desolate sea? After thinking about it, there was only one answer. Chu Chaoyan did not deny it. He smiled faintly and said, "You are right. After I completely sever the karma, you can tell me." Boom! Right after Shao Chen spoke, a dragon roar suddenly rang out. The expressions of Shao Chen and Chu Chaoyan changed slightly. When the two looked up, they saw an unknown object continuously falling. The two slowly approached the desolate sea from the starry heavens. When they saw it clearly, their expressions changed drastically. This was actually a black dragon head. It was just a head, but it encased the entire desolate sea. It's the Black Dragon King's main body. He executed a forbidden art. We cannot let him come down. Otherwise, the entire Central Great Realm will suffer a calamity. Chu Chaoyun said hastily, his expression turning pale with fright. The two roared ferociously and threw a palm strike at the same time. The sun and moon rose into the sky. The blood moon and sun soared into the sky at the same time and smashed into the Black Dragon King's head. Rumble. As the shock wave spread out, the entire Central Great Realm, from the 8 great empires to the Shuowu dynasty, the Yanwu dynasty, the Shenwu dynasty, and the Tianwu dynasty, shook intensely. The world spun around like the end of the world had arrived. Let's go. Shao Qin and Chu Chaoyun soared into the air, instantly arriving in the boundless starry heavens. When the two clearly saw the Black Dragon King's main body, they both inhaled sharply. The Black Dragon King's colossal body stretched across the starry heavens. The sun, moon, and stars were as insignificant as the glass balls in a child's hand before the Black Dragon King. We absolutely cannot let him appear in the Central Great Realm. The two immediately made up their minds. Given the Black Dragon King's horrifyingly colossal body, it would be an irreversible disaster if he appeared in the Central Great Realm. Chu Chaoyun, do you trust me? Shao Qin asked as he looked at Chu Chaoyun. If I did not trust you, why would I come and help you? Right after Shao Qin said that, Shao Qin and Chu Chaoyun both revealed smiles. They both felt like they had said something pointless. I have a Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. If I can control the blood moon in your sun and materialize the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram, I will definitely be able to knock him back. I understand. Without needing to say anything more, Shao Qin spread out the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram with a wave of his hand. Then a painting unfurled in his hand and covered the vast starry heavens. Shao Qin took the lead, absorbing the blood moon into it. The two watched as the Black Dragon King roared in the depths of the starry heavens. Countless stars shattered with a horrifying might. The entire starry heavens trembled. Here, at the critical moment, Chu Chaoyun shouted and finally succeeded in embedding the sun into the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. Sun and moon cycle, endlessly multiplying. Shao Qin pushed his hand forward. Immediately, the blood moon and the blazing sun turned into a black and white fish. A Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram formed in this boundless starry heavens, turning into a light screen that forcefully knocked the Black Dragon King back. The two gathered their strength and materialized the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. In the starry heavens, Shao Qin and Chu Chaoyun worked together to push this diagram, continuously pushing back the Black Dragon King in the boundless, pitch-black starry heavens. The Black Dragon King's colossal body continuously crashed into the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. However, he could not stop himself from being pushed back. The two forces clashed in the starry heavens. Everywhere they passed, stars exploded and shattered. Crack! Crack! Cracks appeared in the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. Shao Qin quickly said, "Withdraw." After withdrawing the blood moon and the blazing sun, Shao Qin and Chu Chaoyun each landed on a star. The star that Shao Qin landed on was desolate, devoid of spiritual energy. When Shao Qin looked around, he saw a vast, boundless wasteland. Just as he was about to soar into the air and meet up with Chu Chaoyun, the ground under his feet suddenly exploded. The ground under Shao Qin's feet suddenly exploded, and a black spear appeared without any warning, thrusting at him. Bang! Closely following that, the entire star shattered. Intense, fiery shock waves erupted from the core of the star. One of the Black Dragon King's claws directly shattered the star, nearly injuring Shao Qin. It was not over yet. The instant the star exploded, the surrounding space shrank. A suction pulled at Shao Qin. This startled Shao Chen. He knew that the Black Dragon King's dragon claws had grabbed him. However, the other party's dragon claws were too large. Shao Chen did not have time to grab the Black Dragon King. Shao Chen immediately swung his saber, illuminating the surrounding starry heavens. Then he forcefully chopped off a dragon claw and jumped out. But the danger did not stop. In the depths of the universe, in the vast starry sky, the Black Dragon King, who used a forbidden art to revert to his ancestral roots, erupted with strong combat prowess. Although Shao Chen and Chu Chaoyan did their best, they were too insignificant before the Black Dragon King. Chu Chaoyan, protect me. Shao Chen sent a voice projection. Then he merged Heavenly Slayer into his physical body and bloodline before retreating continuously. What are you doing? When Chu Chaoyan saw Shao Chen, he showed a grave expression. Something was wrong with the situation. Previously, we severely injured this Black Dragon King. In a desperate situation, he executed a forbidden art. In reality, he is already a spent force. As long as I successfully execute the forbidden art and revert to my ancestral roots, I will definitely be able to destroy him in one go. In that case, I'll protect you. Before you successfully execute the forbidden art, I guarantee that you will not be injured. Right after Chu Chaoyan spoke, he bit his lip and did not say anything else. Then he brought out his primal chaos great Tao to the limit, and countless stars continuously gathered over. When the stars approached, the primal chaos great Tao shattered them. As the stars shattered, space twisted, and a huge black hole appeared. Chu Chaoyan paled as he roared. At the cost of overdrawing on his life, he drove the primal chaos great Tao without a care for anything else. He used the horrifying black hole to block the Black Dragon King. The Black Dragon King felt danger. However, a distorted black hole formed by swallowing countless stars lay in front of him. Even with the Black Dragon King's current body, he still felt some fear when he looked at that black hole. He sensed the aura of a primal chaos god fiend in it. However, when the Black Dragon King saw Shao Chen, who had merged with a soul tool behind Chu Chaoyan, his aura turned increasingly dangerous. The Black Dragon King had to make a move. He opened his mouth and spat out pitch-black dragon flames of destruction, continuously attacking Chu Chaoyan's body. The Black Dragon King wanted to kill Chu Chaoyan and force him to give up on maintaining the primal chaos great Tao. However, Chu Chaoyan allowed the waves of dragon flames to strike his physical body. He remained as unmoving as a mountain, continuing to drive the primal chaos great Tao. Dragon's Gate Forbidden Art. God Demon Body Disintegration. Boom! Shao Chen's eyes turned scarlet as he watched Chu Chaoyan block the Black Dragon King's attack with his body of flesh and blood. Shao Chen had long felt anxious and enraged. Now that the forbidden art finally succeeded, an ancient dragon roar resounded in the starry heavens. Shao Chen's body wriggled continuously. Soon, he turned into an ancient blue dragon. However, this was not enough. Shao Chen continued to execute the god-demon body unsealing art. The ancient blue dragon reverted to its ancestral form, finally turning into a great, desolate Aeon ancestor dragon. When the ancient, great, desolate Aeon ancestor dragon appeared, some mysterious existences in the depths of the starry heavens trembled in fear. The ancestor dragon's body was even larger than the Black Dragon King's, and its dragon might was even stronger. Horror immediately appeared in the Black Dragon King's heart. No matter how strong he was, he could not change the dragon race bloodline in his body. When the Black Dragon King saw the ancestor dragon's fear, it instinctively turned around. The insufferably arrogant Black Dragon King, who claimed to be the incarnation of destruction, fled in panic. "You want to leave?" "No way!" Shao Chen roared. Then he infused the heavenly Tao's killing intent materialized by Heavenly Slayer in his bloodline into his dragon claws. Pa! The primal chaos ancestor dragon pounced forward and struck the Black Dragon King's body with its claw. The Black Dragon King, who was already an arrow at the end of its flight, was already a spent force. The Black Dragon King, who was already a spent force, let out a miserable shriek, and his colossal body crumbled, exploding in the depths of the starry heavens. With one strike, Xiao Chen's thoughts turned chaotic. Many chaotic memories of an ancient ancestor, dragon, appeared in his mind. Xiao Chen felt like his head was going to explode. His entire body twisted uncontrollably, causing stars to explode. The side effects of the forbidden art had arrived. If Xiao Chen could not maintain his original heart, he would not be able to recover his physical body. This would continue until his bloodline drained, his soul fell, and he died of exhaustion. Seeing the ancestor dragon instantly descend into madness after killing the Black Dragon King, Chu Chaoyin quickly retreated. Xiao Chen had nearly injured him. When Chu Chaoyin saw the situation, he frowned slightly. After a while, he gritted his teeth and stepped forward. Then he took the risk to approach Xiao Chen, who had already turned into an ancestor dragon. Using his soul energy as a voice, the name Xiao Chen continuously echoed in the ancestor dragon's mind. This helped Xiao Chen maintain his original heart and not let it fall into chaos. After a long time, just as Chu Chaoyin felt some despair, a light flashed in the great, desolate Ian ancestor dragon's eyes. The berserk aura on the great, desolate Ian ancestor dragon's body slowly dissipated. After a while, its terrifyingly huge body shrank and fell toward a star. "I'm back." Chu Chaoyin revealed joy on his face as he said softly. Then he gave chase. About 7 minutes later, Chu Chaoyin saw the fatigued Xiao Chen lying on the ground on a desolate star. "Can you still stand up?" Chu Chaoyin asked with a faint smile. "You are not dead. Naturally, I can stand up." Xiao Chen stood up with much difficulty. Then he looked at Chu Chaoyin and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this fellow was really not dead. Earlier, when the Black Dragon King spewed waves of destructive dragon flame at Xiao Chen's physical body, it frightened Xiao Chen badly. "I'm not dead yet, but I'm almost there." "Who knew?" Chu Chaoyin said something that stunned Xiao Chen for a long time. "What's wrong?" "Ha ha ha. I thought that, with your intelligence, you would have guessed it long ago. Unexpectedly, you are still so shocked." As Chu Chaoyin wiped away the blood on his lips, he revealed a radiant smile. His laughter was melodious, calm, and carefree. However, Xiao Chen could not bring himself to smile. "I already felt that something was wrong with you in Black Wind Ridge. When that sun appeared, I roughly guessed it." Chu Chaoyin sighed softly. "Sometimes I feel really helpless. It was not easy for me to come to this great 1,000 realms from the Kunlun realm. I thought that I could fly freely, that I could have a new start from here on out. Unexpectedly, I still could not shake off my fate. Back then, the Tianwu dynasty of the Kunlun realm was established by the Holy Lord. His bloodline flows in me. From the start to the end, I was just a pawn that he used to suppress you. Is it strange? Back then, when the Blue Dragon race was destroyed, the Blue Dragon Palace preserved its inheritance and flew to the Kunlun realm. This did not escape the attention of the Holy Lord. The Holy Lord followed the Blue Dragon Palace to the Kunlun realm and established the Tianwu dynasty in the Sky Dome realm, leaving behind this plot. My fate has been intertwined with his from the very beginning. If he lived, I lived. If he died, I died. From the very start, I was a pawn that he used to deal with you. When I learned the truth, I nearly collapsed. When I saw you in the ancient Yen Emperor tomb, I wanted to say something several times, but hesitated. At that time, I really admired you. You clearly had no choice, but you still dared to draw your saber and make your own choice. Xiao Chen said, "Actually, I don't say anything. Listen to me. In the future, you won't be able to hear much." Chu Chaoyin interrupted Xiao Chen. He narrowed his eyes and revealed a faint smile. Then he said softly, "One day ago, I was still uncertain whether I had no choice but to follow the trend and use the trump card that the Holy Lord left behind to kill you and become the new epic master. Or I could just not resist and die at your hands. However, in Dragon God Plaza, you gave up on the Dragon Emperor position and the luck of the Divine Dragon Empire. At that moment, I knew that I already had my answer. No matter how helpless I was, we all have our own choices in life, and we all have our own perseverance. I don't want to be the epic master or any pawn. I just want to be myself, to be Chu Chaoyan, to be your close friend, Xiaoqin." Ha 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 ha. Right after Xiaoqin spoke, Chu Chaoyan guffawed, his laughter filled with boundless joy and delight. "The facts prove that I did the right thing. I feel joy in my heart. Since I was born, I have never felt as relaxed and happy as I do now." As Xiao Chen faced Chu Chaoyun's carefree laughter, Xiao Chen could not bring himself to laugh in his heart. This was clearly a matter of boundless misery. However, Chu Chaoyan spoke casually. If Xiao Chen did not become the new epic master, the Holy Lord would definitely die. If the Holy Lord died, Chu Chaoyan, who had the Holy Lord's bloodline and was connected to the Holy Lord's fate, would die as well. In Xiao Chen's life, he had friends, lovers, and masters. However, there had never been anyone like Chu Chaoyan. Chu Chaoyan was both an opponent and a close friend, with such a deep bond. However, this person would soon die along with the Holy Lord. Let's go. I'll help you with one last thing. The Holy Lord is astute and astute. He still has a trump card that he used to threaten you. I'll help you get it back and easily sever my own karma. What is it? Come with me. The instant Chu Chaoyan turned around, he staggered and nearly fell. Clearly, Chu Chaoyan had overdrawn on his life force to block the Black Dragon King's dragon flame of destruction earlier. Now, it was not as easy as it seemed. The two arrived in the starry heavens. Not long after, they discovered a corpse floating in space. Zhenyuan? Stepping forward, Xiao Qin clearly saw the corpse's appearance. Then, a complicated expression appeared on his face. The Black Dragon King was killed. As the host, Zhenyuan's soul completely merged with the Black Dragon King and died as well. It looked like the venerable Xian Bei's instructions from back then could not be fulfilled. Let's go. Xiao Chen did not feel much sympathy for Zhenyuan. He brought this upon himself. 1 hour later, under Chu Chaoyan's lead, the two entered the tattered faux god world. The void god realm that was once bustling with activity was now completely empty, without the slightest bit of life. All the faux gods were already dead, falling along with the destruction of the martial epic. The two arrived at the holy city and entered the divine palace step by step. A skinny old man wearing a mask lay weakly on a high throne in the depths of the palace. This old man's aura was weak, and his life force was faint. When the old man heard footsteps, he did not open his eyes. He said weakly, "Chaoyan, you're back. Did you kill Xiao Qin?" "Yes, I killed Xiao Qin. I will become the new epic master." "Really?" The incredibly weak old man on the throne shuddered and sat up. He was so agitated that his voice trembled. The old man looked like he came back to life, brimming with energy. Then he suddenly opened his eyes. He happened to see Chu Chaoyan. His eyes narrowed, and he smiled craftily like a white fox. "Sorry, I lied to you. Ka-si-a." Right after Chu Chaoyan spoke, a sword light flashed. Then Chu Chaoyan killed this dying holy lord with one sword strike. Chu Chaoyan stepped forward and searched under the old man's throne. Joy appeared on his face as he took out an item. Then he turned around and said, "For you, Pu Si." Before Chu Chaoyan finished speaking, he vomited a mouthful of blood. His pale complexion turned even scarier. A dragon head. Xiao Qin caught the item that Chu Chaoyan tossed over. Then he showed a startled expression. This was the Azure Mountain's dragon head that he had been searching for. Chu Chaoyan coughed intensely a few times. Then he smiled and said, "This old man is very sinister. If I failed to kill you, he would use this to threaten you. If this item is destroyed, even in the new epoch, the blue dragon bloodline will not be able to rise again." The Holy Lord died. Chu Chaoyan, whose fate was linked to the Holy Lord, visibly lost his life force. However, Chu Chaoyan did not seem to notice. He looked at Xiao Qin and asked, "Do you have wine? I suddenly recall that we have known each other for so many years, but I have never had a proper drink with you." Xiao Qin took out heartburn and poured a cup for each of them. How unfortunate. It was not easy for me to live for myself, but I have to leave so soon. However, it does not matter. After this cup, we will be bosom friends in our next lives. There is no such thing as fate. There is no such thing as an undying old man wearing a mask. There is only a bond and friendship. My sword awaits your saber. Chu Chaoyan raised his wine cup and clinked it. The crisp sound of cups clinking rang out. Then Chu Chaoyan coughed endlessly and vomited a large mouthful of blood. The blood fell into the two's cups, dyeing the wine red. This made one's heart ache. "It's dirty." Xiao Qin changed to another cup. Plop! Chu Chaoyan, who was changing cups, suddenly felt his hands losing strength to hold the wine cup. As the wine cup fell to the ground and shattered, he fell limply. It looked like he had fallen asleep. Then he closed his eyes with a smile. "Chu Chaoyan!" Xiao Qin stepped forward and caught her. Then he shouted, "Brother, you're not dead yet." However, that handsome and outstanding Chu Chaoyan, who always had a smile on his face, was already asleep forever. Drip! A tear leaked out of the corner of Xiao Qin's eyes as he closed his eyes. The tear fell into the cup and melted into the blood like heartburning. Xiao Qin drained the cup in one go. However, although this wine was called heartburning, it did not make him feel any heartache. There was a kind of pain called pain at its peak. The heart could no longer feel pain. 5 years later, after Xiao Qin dealt with the matters of the Great Thousand Realms, he prepared to head to the Kunlun realm with Lu Ruyue, Ao, Jiao, and Mo Qin. Before parting, Xiao Qin looked at the starry heavens and spread his hands. Then he merged his soul energy with the great Tao and said softly, "I hope that all the men in the world have the heart of a gentleman, that the heavens move vigorously, that they constantly strive to improve themselves. I hope that all the women in the world have the heart to improve themselves, not inferior to men, comparable to the sky. I hope that all the people in the world are like dragons, having the heart of a newborn, not seeking eternal life, only chasing their dreams, not regretting it, even if they die." Whoosh! Right after Xiao Qin spoke, a crystalline, dazzling seed flew out of his palm and slowly drifted into the sky. "Big brother Xiao Qin, what is this?" Mo Qin asked softly. Xiao Qin replied gently, "This is the epic heart that I condensed. It is also a seed, the divine dragon epic that I want. I hope that all the people in the world are like dragons, having the heart of a newborn, not seeking eternal life, only chasing their dreams. However, why not seek eternal life? Because eternal life represents all desires. Eternal life is lived for one's desires, not for oneself. Such a person living is worse than death. If everyone lived forever, then this epoch would end sooner or later." Lu Ruyue, Mo Qin, and Ao Jiao entered deep thought, not really understanding. Xiao Qin smiled and said, "Stop thinking about it. Let's go. Let's return to the Kunlun realm." However, when Xiao Qin saw the bright moon in the night sky, his smile revealed a trace of bitterness. Back then, the bright moon shone on the colorful clouds. End of book.